All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's All About the Build podcast. It is I, Elliot Slack, your host, and we are bringing you a special guest this week. We traveled a lot of back roads to find him. He welcomed us with open arms. We hung out at his shop, and on this episode, you're going to be able to see a little bit of what's going on in his world as far as the shop looks and everything. We did it right there in his location, which is pretty sweet. You can see his builds and stuff that's going on in his background. Without further ado, this guy's name is Mikey Brown, and he is the star of Paper to Pavement on YouTube. His channel is unbelievable. He has a partner in crime that they put together some serious movies, I guess we should call them. They are extremely well documented. His builds over the years, he is building stuff from scrap piles and creating literally top 10 Hot Wheels Legends Tour finalists. And when we had a chance to go visit him, it was between the week of him finding out that he has hit top 10 for the second year in a row. Last year he was Jay Leno's pick, and the following weekend where he finds out if he has won and has put his creation into the 164th category. If you don't know about the Hot Wheels Legend Tour, you're going to find out all about it and what the winner gets out of this. It's pretty astonishing. We dive into his chapters of his life and how he has gotten to where he is today. He's younger than I am. He's a WyoTech grad. You know how I feel about that. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Mikey Brown, Paper to Pavement. Check him out. Enjoy the show. Talking about building hot rods here. Not talking about sugarcoating. We're talking about everything. Knuckle busting. Rust in your fucking eyes. We're talking about building fucking hot rods. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's All About the Build podcast. Sponsored and brought to you by I.B.F.HotRods, Middle Nowhere, Indiana. You know where to find us. Today we have a special guest. I'm in the middle of another middle of nowhere, Indiana location, the big town of Deputy, Indiana, home of 38 neighbors, including Mikey, or is it plus Mikey?
I am it's 34 plus my tribe here, so there's 38 of us total out here in Deputy, but we've got the most hot rods per person, like per capita in the world. So we're the hot rod capital of the world out here. It's like 7 hot rods per. So we're doing good out here.
So I'm in the middle of God's country.
That's it.
Basically.
Hot rod heaven.
Hot rod heaven. And when I reached out to this guy to come out and interview him, and I started doing some research on him and really trying to understand this guy, it was more and more apparent that I needed to come see him and I needed to do this. So let me give a little introduction about this dude. The guy's name is Mikey Brown, for those of you that don't know who he is. From Deputy, Indiana. He's one of the most unique builders I've ever come across. As a builder, Mikey is in a league of his own, reminding me of stories of the old days when true car builders built something literally out of nothing. Piles of junk and scrap have become mobile pieces of art from this guy's hands. From days of building his solid foundation as a WyoTech alumni to starting his own business and now on to his own amazing new project that is world-renowned and known as none other than Paper to Pavement. That in and of itself is amazing, and we're here to break down the entire story getting to this point.
This is like a Joe Dirt saga.
It is, yeah. This is like the radio station for
it.
Joe Dirt is what it is. This dude, when I found out he was with WyoTech, I was like, I got to reach out to him just because of that. To begin with. I mean, I was following him, come across his page on YouTube, I think. It could even have been Instagram because you got You got a pretty good following on Instagram, don't you?
Yeah, dude. Like across all platforms now, people are starting to catch on. I probably invested the most time in Instagram, but man, it's crazy how the internet works.
Yeah.
Everybody is just tied together like a web out there.
Yeah. An amazing thing is with you being in the middle of nowhere, like literally 38 people in this whole in this whole fucking town. It just goes to show you what can be done with hard work and putting your nose to the grindstone. This podcast is all about bringing the stories and more than just here's a car and hey, let's talk about builds. It's all about the build. Literally is like it's not only building cars, it's the build to get to where you're at.
Yeah,
And it starts from day one.
The development is the project itself, like the self-development. That's the project.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wouldn't look to build a fucking car. You have to have such passion and grit, and to do it by yourself. I mean,
Or just blind stupidity. Like, yeah, and when you, if I look at it and I'm like, I want something shiny, that don't sound too smart, brother. And
Yeah.
most of mine start with, I want something shiny too.
Yeah.
So it's fun, man. It's fun bringing this stuff from nothing.
Yeah. And part of the things about Mikey's build, everything that he builds brings an extreme unique and genuine to it. It shows in everything that he builds. In recent years, Mikey has been on a roller coaster ride in his quest to become a Hot Wheels legend. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Hot Wheels legend, Hot Wheels, obviously, crowns a champion builder, cementing their custom vehicle into history. Each winner each year gets a 1/64th replica of their creation that you can find at all Walmart shelves.
And even past that too, it enters into the Hall of Legends. So you're not just in one of the standard packaging, you're in the Legend participant winning package, and you're part of a car. Like if you're the Legend winner, they put you into the blister packs and stuff in different paint variations. So it is the opportunity to collaborate with Hot Wheels for like the rest of time too.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to me, like for the kind of stuff I like building, the kind of cars I like, and the way I grew up out here. It is the way to show a little nobody from nowhere can be just as big of an impact on the automotive world as anybody from anywhere.
Well, the crazy thing is not only that. So let's say 100 years down the road, if they stop making your car, I mean, they bring cars back, don't they, throughout the years. So, I mean, your car could be one of those rare finds that turns into that toy.
Well,
could
and
be worth a fortune.
the best part of this kind of going into the Hall of Legends is they kind of don't stop making it. It's entering in there with like the Bone Shaker and the Twin Mill to where it's like, no, it's just what variation is it going to be this year? And I mean, there's potential for like super treasure hunts.
Yeah, man.
I'm a big Hot Wheels fan. Like I absolutely love Hot Wheels. Me and now my kids are into it because of the Legends tour, not because of the products. Like my son was more into like Ninja Turtles, action figures. That's where he was going. And then when we get out to the Legends tour, and he's like, my dad is doing this thing, So now they're all into Hot Wheels too. So it's brought even the kid in me that's never died off back to even more life than ever before.
Well, I mean, just an inspiration to your kids is unbelievable. I mean, a lot of people's kids, their dad goes 9 to 5. They don't even know what the hell they do for a living.
I didn't. Like, my mom worked at Cummins my whole life, and I knew that Cummins made engines, but I didn't know. I mean, my mom still works there. I don't know what she does still. And,
Right.
I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I hate to say it like that, but I know that she goes and works with countless people that she doesn't know 80% of, and that she makes a paycheck and has made a life for me. And her doing all of that made me want to never, ever do that. Like, I thought, if I end up back in a farm, because this is all, like, there is no royal blood in me, man. It's coal miners, farmers, and factory workers. That's it. So you get that to where it's like, I want to show my mother, my family, all of them, that I respect what you guys did so much that I don't ever want to. Like, I can do this other thing on my own, and I can develop just like y'all did and just like our grandparents did out here. I wasn't a person that got carried into this area. I was born here. Like, I was born out here in the middle of nowhere. So I'm not used to having too much. Like, I'm used to having to make what you want. And the people that moved out here are high level engineers and craftsmen that wanted left alone. Like, they want the
Yep.
peace of, I want to go out in the farm ground, and it's only like generational crop farmers out here and then specialists. Like, and I'm one of the only ones dumb enough to actually put myself out in the world. A lot of these guys just stack cheddar up their whole life
Yep.
and leave their family something. I'm starting from literally nothing. Like, I say smiles from scrap piles.
Yep.
Because I'm using the trash of these guys. Like, these high level engineers and all these guys out here building what I consider the best stuff in my area are just having such premium scrap piles for me to dig through that I can really make an impact with what little tools I have. I don't have any English wheel. I don't have a plenishing hammer or anything. I sculpt off of like my leg and just tubing inside of other tubing to bend my tube. Like, I don't have a tubing bender or anything. And I coach built a car that just made it to the finale of the Hot Wheels Legends Tour. So me being out here is not isn't an obstacle for me. Like, that is the superpower. I didn't go to school and listen to all the other kids and like, oh my gosh, I need to go get those cards. I need to play this game. I don't do all this. I looked at it as like, if I don't learn how to mow grass and drive a tractor and like be useful, like if I don't find a use for me out here, I'm never going to get the attention that I kind of have to be happy. Like, I want to be the one that you call when a problem happens. I always liked that. And I was respected highly of that from the old men out here. And there was a big part of my life growing up that was kind of like, I don't want to say anything at all because I don't want these guys to think bad of me. And then it's just, I mean, here lately, man, like, those old men have all died.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't care what they think. Obviously, I do, but I'm not worried about what anybody thinks anymore. Like, I feel like I've carried the caskets for the last people I truly gave a shit about the way they perceived me. And now it's just like, what do I do that makes me happy and that makes my kids, like, remember what I did? Because all I remember is my mom leaving for work. I don't remember what she did. I don't know what she did. Still don't. And there's a part of that that's kind of like morbid to me. Like, I don't want my kids sitting by my bedside with their kids and them go, what did grandpa even do when he was alive? It's all on paper to pavement, kids. Like, I want you to be able to go and watch it and it be an straight up, not diluted down version, the real deal. Like, the good times I loved. The bad times I also loved, man. Like, your grandfather got to be the guy that figured out all these problems and did it with a smile. And I'm hoping that just doing that shows not just my family in the future, but everybody right now. Things suck. Like, doing everything, even if you like doing it, there's going to be a shit sandwich you're going to have to chew up and swallow. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to, I don't think you deserve a spot on stage anywhere. And I never worry too much about the people that complain. I just ignore it because I don't run into them very long. The only people that I notice out on the show circuit doing really good and making things that people actually want to be a part of are just staying positive, they're staying happy, and they're not trying to be anybody but themselves. Like, I don't like what half of the builders are building out there, but I love how they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch a lot of guys, like, my style of car that I do is kind of like in the lane of Ian Roussel right now.
Right.
And even Bad Chad, like the way Bad Chad does and stuff, his style. Those guys, you've got to give them respect for not overspending to create. Like, I do love that. I like looking for ways to save money and things to do the best you can with the circumstances you're given. I think the most special cars in history isn't based off of what was available, but what wasn't available.
Yeah.
It's like, why did they use that 40 Oldsmobile bumper on that 32 Ford? Like, that is gorgeous. Why'd they do that? It's because they had one sitting there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. You
work.
guys think like this he got on eBay and he searched for 6 years. No, he didn't. He did not. That's the only one he's seen. That's the only one he did. And that guy was creative enough to tuck it in and bend it and do what you need to make it look appropriate.
And he got it for free. For
and
$5 from the neighbor.
Even the stuff that I like save up to pay for, some of it is hanging on the wall because of other things that have naturally showed up in my path. That's kind of something me and Trent have been working on. My business partner for Paper to Pavement.
Yeah.
He's a videographer, a photographer. Like he owns Speed and Culture Chronicles. He's the man. And I mean, he shot cars at the Coliseum in Rome.
That's pretty badass.
Dude, he's been everywhere.
Yeah.
So when he comes out here to deputy and he was like, man, I've never done anything like this. I'm like, dude, I feel like you're lying to me. Like I don't believe a word of that. And then he kept coming back and we developed this Paper to Pavement thing off of it that is fun to show how it really is. Being around Trent and getting to work with somebody as high leveled as he is really does give me kind of an extra confidence to shoot into things like the Hot Wheels Legends Tour and even Sega, like the Southeast Gasser Association.
Yeah.
I race with them too. And a lot of it is because of Trent. And I know they say comparison is the thief of joy, but when you're actually associating, like I'm business partners with a high level content creator. So I'm not comparing myself to him to beat myself up. I'm comparing myself to him to just see, is there any kind of gaps out here from my perspective that maybe would add to what he's doing? I'm not trying to do anything like instead of him at all. I'm just trying to add an extra little layer here because there is a cleanliness to just any kind of media that makes you forget that there's a human involved in it sometime. And you can't get me involved in anything and not realize that there is a human with a lot of mistakes coming to go and involved in this thing. So I don't know, man, like the entire bring up of this area. And then like you would think Trent going to all these places that I would have to move to him, but no, he moved out here to deputy.
That's kind of wild. I mean, for him to be in such a position, I mean, if just the little amount that I know of him from you and YouTube and your guys' website and everything and the little brief write-up of him and everything, I mean, for him to be able to go around and basically pick and choose what it sounds like, what he wants to take pictures of or even work with, that's the biggest compliment you can get.
It's a big compliment, and it's, I mean, I never talk about this, but there's a lot of pressure that I give myself because of that. I know the opportunities that he has. Like, I'm conscious of that. So I want to do things big enough that it's worth his time.
Yeah.
And I think that if I would have partnered up with anybody else, it would have maybe stayed stagnant a little bit longer. Me not kind of chasing bigger things lately.
Well, since we're on the topic of it, let's tell the listeners exactly what Paper to Pavement is.
Okay.
And because, I mean, we were going to get to that, but we're in it right now, so we might as well just go right into it.
Yeah, man. Paper to Pavement was just kind of a dream of mine. I've always wanted my own TV show, my own, I loved Stacey David's Gears when I was growing up. Still, I love that. And Dan Woods on Chop Cut Rebuild. I like that. I liked a host walking through an automotive adventure. I just loved that.
Yeah.
But the automotive adventures I wanted to walk through are for guys like Barris and Ed Roth and more individual artistry than a big shop with this equipment sponsored by this welder. And, it just wasn't going the route I wanted to. So me and my brother started recording a car that I was building, a Nash Metropolitan, and this was going to be the start of, I didn't even know what it was called. It was just going to be my YouTube channel because I ran Mikey's Custom Upholstery forever. So I was just kind of thinking about calling it Mikey's Custom Shop or something. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was trying to make a soft transition, honestly, because I was scared. I was just scared to make that big of a commitment. So me and my brother started recording this little Nash Metropolitan that I got, and I was going to build for the Hot Wheels Legends Tour. Once Hot Wheels in 2000, I think it was 17 maybe, 16 or 17, they released that they were going to do this show. And a car won that was called the 2Jet Z. And it was a 2JZ Supra engine, and they built like a fighter jet around this thing. And as soon as I seen that car, that was my introduction to the Legends Tour. And as soon as I seen it, I was like, this show was made just for me to finally, I never could find my lane. I couldn't find the content stream in which I wanted to build for. And then as soon as they said this, I was like, boom, right there. I can build Hot Wheels cars. I can race these Hot Wheels cars. I can live every portion of my life I really want to. And this is my way to get into being a toy designer, which is what I want. So The 2-Jet Z1, I started recording this Nash Metropolitan I was going to call the banana hammock because I seen, man, if they just did that, I can do a traditional style. Nash Metropolitans, like, it isn't my favorite car, but it is one of them that I can actually afford.
It's got some wild lines on it too. Plus, it's small.
It's pretty, and I knew that its attitude comes from the wheel well openings, and I knew I was getting away with that.
Yeah.
So I thought I have a chance to turn this goofy little car into a sports car. Like, I can really get. There's something about the way the roof hits the quarter panel on a Metropolitan that if you get rid of that little bitty wheel well, it opens up to look like the roof line of an early Vet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why,
you're
but it just
right.
does. Like, that silhouette does. And then you almost have this little mini 55 Chevy mixed with a sports car with that car. So I just thought, that is my Hot Wheels car. That's what I'm doing. I spent $25,000 stacking up all the parts here. That's how I build everything. I stack all the parts and then I get going. And so I had 25 grand, most money I'd ever spent on a parts list. But I was like, I'm going at this correct. I'm recording it as a show. I want to do this right. I want to start this YouTube channel. So I started recording, building this thing. And then, by God, they announced the winner of the second show, and it was a Nash Metropolitan. And Nash won the whole Hot Wheels Legends.
What was it? So that was Nash Hole?
Nash Hole, yeah.
Yeah, they just call it the Nash.
I was like, yeah, they call it the Nash, but it was Nash Hole.
Yeah, it's funny because I watched an episode of that, and they interviewed the guy, and he was like, people were like, oh, you can't have it called the Nash Hole because of the Hot Wheels and kids and stuff. And he was like, but they loved it.
Yeah.
Jay Leno loved it.
It's cool, dude.
The judges loved it.
And the thing is, he wasn't changing it to pander to an audience either, which in my opinion, the respect, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I like the way he did
that's
it.
what this podcast and what I.B.F.HotRods is all about.
That's what's so cool, dude. And I liked that a Nash won, don't get me wrong. It made me realize that at least my antenna to the universe is catching something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the right path. Because I could have honestly, out of every what seems like misstep along the way, that right off the bat was the closest to get me to say, I ain't doing this Hot Wheels thing. Like, I just can't chase 10,000 other builders. I'm not interested in doing this. But what I did was I came back I built that car. I still decided, well, this will be good because at least now we're not competing. So I've already spent the money. We'll do the movie. I'll spend my travel budget on this car. So we got going on it, committed to filming, and then this was when COVID hit. Like, COVID hit right as soon as we committed to filming, and then my buddy Trent he's stuck here. Like, he's stuck.
I guess he wasn't there. Yeah, they weren't really taking pictures of anything.
And he was kind of scared too. He was like, dude, my work is stopping. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hey, buddy, how about you swing in and look at what I've been recording with this Nash and see if it's something that maybe you want to help me start recording. Like, maybe it's something that we can piece together. And I'm not even interested in making money with it or anything because I know he makes money with content. So I'm like, even if you can find a way to make money on it to make it worth your time, I need the practice. Like, I just really want to do this, and I want to build this to go to the Hot Wheels Legends Tour anyway, at least introduce myself. Well, then I built it all. We did the movies, and I got so much more tied up into, like, let's come up with the name of this. Let's develop this into this just being the first of many here.
Yeah.
And let's kind of put Hot Wheels on pause because of COVID. Man.
Build the foundation there.
And Hot Wheels went to virtual. Like, it started off like this show is at SEMA. This show's in these big places that would kind of get you there if you won. To where then it was like, this is just another computer competition during COVID. And I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to actually go out and race and get video content. Like, I wanted to actually travel. So I kind of over-invested in that, and the only way I was going to be able to go back to Hot Wheels and do anything was to sell the banana hammock. I couldn't really afford to keep it, so I sold the banana hammock just to keep Paper to Pavement alive. The name Paper to Pavement came from just me closing my eyes and, like, thinking hard. It was like, what do? I came up with pencil, like, I'm just pencil and paper guy. So I was like, pencil to pavement, and then I was like, paper to pavement. Sounds like it. And then I just called Trent, and at the time the movie was almost done. We didn't have a name of a channel to put it on. We didn't have anything to call this. I was like, bro, call it the Banana Hammock Movie, and let's put it on Paper to Pavement. Like, let's just call ourselves Paper to Pavement Studios. We want to take pencil fantasies and turn them into reality right here on this patch of concrete. And as soon as I told him that, he was like, dude, that is it. Like, that's definitely it. So I've just rode with that. Everything of mine has always started with an easy little pencil sketch. I'm not a great artist. I haven't spent enough time in it to be really, really good at it. But I always felt like if I could sketch something up that would just fire me up a little bit, like get them butterflies flapping, that I could sculpt it. I could make it because, I mean, you build cars, you know, you have a certain amount of man hours that have to go into every project no matter what. You know, the magic number around here has been 1,000 hours. You know, like in 1,000 hours, I can build a car. I'm the only guy here, and I'm doing these things in 40-day, 60-day, 80-day stretches.
It's unheard of.
And I don't do that because I want to. I'm doing it because I have to. You know, like I work all through the winter doing upholstery, doing paid gigs. So when this door opens up in the spring, I can treat this like my farm. Like this is when I have to plant. So at the end of the season, before the cold, I can reap all of my opportunities that I really poured my hard work into over this show season. And honestly, buddy, I mean, you don't want to sit and go like, I'm trophy chasing. I'm not. I'm opportunity chasing. Yeah. And to the victor goes the spoils of a lot of things. So it's sad to say, like, you need to win every once in a while to just feel like keep going. But I didn't get very many wins, you know. I mean, for what I'm seeing as the end goal, like, sure, these plans have worked out and we've been awarded for some of these plans, but my end goal is to have a toy car hanging at Walmart. And Paper to Pavement's existence was to help promote that actually happening. Yeah. So there's so many layers to this kind of circus that I've got going on. I want to be able to travel and show up in the real world. I'm not just trying to make a big splash and get 1 million views. If I get 1 million views on a video and nobody approaches me at the racetrack on Saturday, I actually did myself a disservice. You know, I still want to seem approachable. That's the whole reason I'm doing this.
That's the whole reason I came here, because you don't, like I'd say all the time, is like, I've had people say that I should go talk to this guy, or I should go, and you know, people email me and shit because I ask about it and I say about it and stuff, and it's like, I look into it and it's like, there's just something off. Or I talk to somebody that knows him and it's like, he fucking talks shit to everybody or whatever, you know? Yeah. And like,
I don't, man. I don't see any room for it. Even the people that don't like me, I understand, man. I don't like me a lot of days too, you know? It's like, it's part of it. But you can't let that hold you up. I don't worry about what other people are thinking. I want to focus on kind of what they're feeling more. I hope that they're watching it and getting just some kind of independence to think, you know, like this guy, I don't care if you don't like my car. Like, I don't care. Yeah. My kids, if my kids didn't like it, I would be crushed, you know? But as far as like a judge at a show, differences in opinions, man. Like, it's all personal taste. They are cars. You're going to have emotional connections to certain makes and models that I don't. And I don't take any of that personally. Like, I never was one to really beat myself up as far as like I didn't pick the right car. I didn't do any of that. The only times I ever really worry about that is if I am trying to kind of pander to an audience. Yep. But dude, in chasing this with Paper to Pavement, this is just an exercise on who I truly am. Like, can I watch this video and swallow at the end of it that I wasn't doing something that I wasn't supposed to be? There is no path, like clear path. I can't really say, and I have a lot of people like, what would you do if you were here? Dude, you don't want to know that. You know, you don't want to know that because it would probably offend you accidentally, because I wouldn't be in that position just based off of a difference of opinion from the very start. Yep. So, I don't know, like, I do like the YouTube aspect of building things and having like this big community connection. But there is a part of that there is a natural abrasion. Like, the better you do, almost the other people that are doing it naturally root against you for some reason. Yep. And it's I don't know, like, that's just a poor mentality that I don't see a use for. And I definitely don't want my kids growing up thinking it's normal. They're sitting watching iPads and stuff, you know, the time of day that they do. And you just watch them, and I don't know, there's few times that my daughter will be like, well, how many views did we get on that, or how's this doing? And just knowing that she's conscious enough to be questioning it makes me not focus on it. Like I got to stay in the moment of what's actually important here. And the growth from paper to pavement truly is these projects every single time getting a little better and testing things that I've never done. I don't want to get in the pattern of it's like, and it probably looks like that to where it's like Mikey's building Izettas. Like I've been doing a lot of Izettas. But when I put my head to the ground and prayed about what I should do in Hot Wheels, it was like, what is a crazy enough car to where this banana hammock situation does not happen again that I actually want to live with? And my favorite car since a child has been, I've got a couple, but my favorite has always been Steve Urkel's BMW Izetta, dude. Like,
see, I didn't even know. It's funny because for years, I mean, if I saw that car, I knew exactly what the hell that was.
Everybody just knows.
I don't know what the hell the name of it is.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the motherfucker was a BMW.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all I know is Steve Urkel pops out of that son of a bitch.
And I had a lot of connections with Steve. I was raised by my great grandma. So we got on the school bus at her house. She was in her 80s when I was growing up, and that's who I sat down and told my problems to every day. So I actually had a Depression era woman to give me advice. And she had raised 12 kids, and her husband was a preacher and had grown up with her, like as a child. And when he passed away, she lived on the values that he had set with the family. And she really instilled in me that if I did my best and just felt good about my best, then I would set a good example for anybody that was around me. And the people in the community that set a good example are the ones that can change the bad that you want to talk about, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to. You know, all the change in the world comes from action, not conversation.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
So I just decided that instead of sitting around and wishing that I could be a part of the world that my great-grandma and my grandpa and every one of these old-timers that I've sadly carried the caskets for, you know, instead of going, I wish I was around when they were, I just, no, man, like this can be like that. There's no reason. The phone, you're telling me the phone is the only reason that we can't all get along and be not, no, that's not true. To have a good neighbor, you got to be a good neighbor, and there's 38 really good neighbors out here. And I just believe if we show this and like televise it for what it is and not try to bring in a Walmart out here or drag in big corporate level anything, if I just go, no, y'all stay where you're at and we'll take care of ourselves out here and really advertise that maybe some of these people that are a little embarrassed of how little they have can start shining the world and making it brighter.
Yeah.
The people out here that are really developing their craft are doing it with a smile on their face and there ain't no cameras rolling.
Well,
and we're watching people throw stuff on camera and be unhappy about a life that you're choosing to live.
Yeah. Let's talk about the support of the community, because I know was it the first was it that banana hammock that the community opened up and really was like, hey, we love what you're doing?
Well, they've all let me dumpster dive for a long time. Like since I was a kid building bicycles, and I was building 20-inch frames with 26-inch forks and 16-inch wheels on the front with steering wheels for handlebars. Like, I was the weird kid. But I was the weird kid that they were protecting. They were like, you know, ain't nobody going to be picking on him. You all need to let him. Because I had a hard time making friends. And I believe that's why Steve Urkel resonated with me so much.
Right.
And growing up now and kind of looking back, I had a hard time making friends because I was getting values from people that were nowhere near my age. You know, I didn't understand why everyone cared what name was on your shirt if it wasn't yours. Like, if you don't own the company, you're paying to wear clothes, man. It doesn't matter whose name's on them, you know? So I just never really got that. I never understood it. And I was the product of farmers, factory workers, coal miners, and then like my grandmother is a tailor. Like she made clothes, made prom dresses. It didn't teach me. She's like, get out of my light. You know, I got this covered. So I was just raised by a bunch of hard asses that wanted to do everything on their own. So the only way I'm going to turn into anything out here is just naturally doing it on my own too. I love people coming in here. Like you're one of the first ones that really come in to do an interview. It's always like a Zoom and stuff. And if you don't get to see the spirit of the area when you drive in, you actually miss the most important part. Like so many people are like, I hate this too. Like, I'm a hard dog to pet, man. You know, it's like, oh, you're so good, you're so talented, all these things. And it's like, I am only that way because I have been in an artistic prison for 34 years out here. And everyone I love that I did take advice from, that I truly am trying to make proud, aren't here anymore. So, what else can I do? I don't have another option. I mean, I could move to a more populated area and get just drowned, but the community that I have out here, I am the light that's coming in. Like, they're going to work every day to jobs they don't like, if they're lucky enough to get a job, like if they're lucky enough to have one. Or they're going places working for 28, 29 years, the factory's pulling plugs on them, and they don't qualify for any of the benefits that they've worked their entire life for.
Yep.
So I just hope that in what I'm doing out here, we'll see more community members develop individually with the skill sets they're doing on their own time. Levi, the guy that does like mechanic work for me, and he's an engineer for a living. He's got a CNC machine in a shed behind his house. Like, the stuff we're making in here, he can make, you know, like, if I need something, if I needed a transmission, he could make it. Like, we can make it. We can do it. We don't want to, you know, like, trust me, we don't want to do it. But knowing that the ability is right here amongst people that I have massive respect for, that are really, like, Levi texted me last night after he seen what happened in the semifinals of Hot Wheels, and he was standing in Indy when I lost this year. Like, I've already lost this show one time.
Yeah.
I lost in Indy. And my buddies are standing there going, and the whole community, like, are up there in Indianapolis when I was there. Like, all of Deputy was there. So I didn't just fail in front of some people that knew me. I failed in front of every single person that knows me. And I was proud that I failed in front of them. Like, they got to see me. As sad as this sounds, dude, that was the first time in my kid's life they ever watched me lose. You know, like, actually go to a show, compete, and not pull it off. But it was perfect because in front of all my friends and everybody, I got to tell my kids the trophy is going on a trailer with us. Like, that's at the end of the day, we're trying to make 1/64th version of this for everyone else. We already own the 1-to-1. We already have the real one. So getting to see my friends like Levi go, dude, like yesterday, he told me, you really inspired me. You know, like, that is what gets me feeling good. Like, I get it that people out here that I don't know are taking what I'm doing and getting balls rolling, but man, my community is actually making adjustments. My friends, like Levi, will build something and take it to Bonneville now. Like, he can do it. Like, we just seen it. You can do whatever you want out here and go mix with the best of them. Like, why not? I would rather get beat by the best in the world and made look a fool in front of everybody than lose to someone no one knows and be made look a fool in front of everybody too. It doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, the failures along the way, like every single step of the way, the failures have hurt my community's feelings worse than they've hurt mine because of how invested they are into my success. And I'm invested in the development of it all. Like, I know that I'm going to fail. If you push it hard enough, you're going to fail a few times before you get it right. And with this Hot Wheels thing, they went in thinking first year, I'm going to go in, take it all down. And I was more surprised at how far I truly made it. I broke enough rules to where I didn't think that I would actually even be in the mix. But I truly believe, dude, if you want to pull anything big off, it's all about who you know. You got to get in and shake hands and meet people. So let's get on a world stage. Let's just get beat by the best and let them know that we're out here.
Yeah.
And my community now is getting it. Like, it took the loss in Indy, the me going back to Houston. I'm in the finale again with Hot Wheels this year, back to back. And now these people that don't get the promotion they went in for start looking for another job instead of accepting where they're sitting, you know? And I do like to think that that's some of me going, to hell with good enough. You know, I ain't Jay Leno's pick. I am, sure. But if real recognizes real, Jay Leno is the legend on that panel. And if he says I'm a legend, I would be a fool not to go back next year and prove him right. I would be a fool. So every bit of this starts from, I mean, it didn't matter if I came in dead last place. My community here would hang signs of me up and be rooting on me when I come in. They wait on me at the edge of town when they know I'm coming back from Houston and stuff.
That's amazing.
Like, they treat me like I won American Idol or something, and
Well,
I appreciate it.
Didn't they give you the theater down here?
Yeah, there's a theater. There's a theater. They didn't give it to us, but they let us
Well,
have
not give it
access
to you, but they
yeah.
gave it to you for a premiere.
Oh yeah, dude. Like there's a local theater. It's up the road, probably 15 or 20 miles. It's the Vernon Park Theater. And I actually painted when I was in middle school. I painted a clown on the wall upstairs. We got hired in an advanced art project, and they were like, the local theater wants us to go in and do murals. And brother, like to me, I was probably 12 at the time, 12 or 13, and it was like it was like going to the White House. Like this is as high in this area as I can get. I'm actually getting to do this. And I was such a bad kid that they didn't even let me do the stage. They were like, you know what? You can go up and do whatever you want in the dressing room. And I just painted a big clown costume up there. And they covered it up with a coat shelf day one, dude. Like, but it's funny now because you go in there and they've moved that room all around so you can see it, and they've got a little thing saying, Mikey, you painted this. And I'm like, the truth is you guys put me up here because you knew I'd fight with all them other kids out there. It's fun though, like looking back and seeing that, because I understand the frustration now that I'm old enough to have the patience for it. But I was mad all the time as a kid, and it was because I couldn't do what I felt like I should be. I felt like I should be pushing it. I should be doing more than I do. Sitting in class all day long when I knew that I could get 4 more yards mowed a day to get a conversion kit on my lowrider bicycle, man. Like that was where my head was. Like I've always been, plans change for goals to stay the same. You may have to mow a different yard, but I'm building a lowrider bike. Like this school is slowing me down. Like this class sucks. And
so your inspiration for customizing and just building something that's not there started way in the beginning.
Yeah, man. Like I would say, I tried to make a display for my CD player one time because I liked the way that the Nappy Roots CD looked. And I wanted to see it spin so I destroyed a Walkman, to do this. But ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the artwork on things. And even with toy cars as a kid, I liked the muscle machines when they came out more than the Hot Wheels, because the muscle machines actually had pictures of the cars that were in the package. So it was like almost getting a trading card with it.
Yeah.
To where now that's all flipped around, and Hot Wheels actually has the pictures on the package of the cars that are in them. So I've noticed all that. Like I've been an extremely detail-oriented kid my entire life. And so much so that that's a lot of the reasons I think that it ran friends off and everything. I couldn't just be, oh, that's good enough for it. It was like, no, this ramp, if we get the perfect angle, we can get the farthest. It wasn't just building a ramp, it was, how can we make the best ramp we can? And I do understand now why I ran off so many kids when I was younger, just being kind of difficult. But it's what developed me into what I turned into, all that alone time. If I didn't have the extreme amount of alone time when I was a kid, I wouldn't have had the time to focus on all that stuff. I would have been doing things I wouldn't have. I shouldn't have. I would have been getting into more trouble because I liked it. I liked attention. It didn't matter if it was good, it was bad. And probably the best thing for my childhood was my family didn't honor like any nonsense. Like if you were acting up, if you were acting out, you kind of got ignored, not dealt with, not told what to do. Kind of more like we don't want to be associated with that kind of attitude. Yeah. So growing up, it was more of a like, I just want to stay in line so these people will give me attention. And then when I would get attention from doing bad things, it was from judges. It was from my teachers at school. It was from principals. It was never from my family. So I just never invested a lot of time into academically getting better. It was more like, the better I do out here in the real world, the better all the people in the area treat me. So I don't know, man. I've got this thing where I am doing the best I can all the time and accepting it, and just expecting everyone to have a problem with it. Like I just expect everyone to not like it.
Yeah.
And the odd thing to me is that you're here and that people do like it and understand it, because for 30 years I've been doing things my way to eye rolls, and you're just screwing stuff up, to where now it's like that's a really cool take on that. Like, I'm starting to actually get people to understand that I have an aesthetic that I'm building here. And I just see like my aesthetic as, imagine if an alien got dropped into a scrapyard in like a shut down circus from like the 60s or something. And then you just look at like the encampment of like what would be there, what pieces, what parts, what do you need to move these things? And not what would an American auto manufacturer do, but what would someone with no comprehension of how should be do? Like, how would they do? How would, if I need to haul a load, I don't need a fender in front of my cab. I don't like that. I see that as wasted space. I like a long, long bed,
Yeah.
and I like a Volkswagen single cab for that. Like, I like that better. I like that design better, and I see that as more of a oddball interpretation of how to look at things. And naturally, I'm ended up going this Hot Wheels route because, I mean, a lot of people look at Hot Wheels and they think fat tires, big exposed engine, staggered stance. But guys, Hot Wheels is worldwide. It's global. It's cultural. And like their whole mission is to pretty much show all of the perspectives in the world. And I never do feel like mine is completely appreciated. And it's not because it hasn't ever existed. I'm not doing anything that doesn't really exist, but it's just been done so well by the people of the past, like Barris and like, in my area, it's Carl Casper. Like, I didn't grow up looking up to Ed Roth. We had the Carl Casper car show in Louisville, and Carl Casper would bring, you know, like the Batmobile that he made and a few things. Like, he built, in my opinion, like a cleaner version of a cartoon car.
Yeah.
Like, Carl Casper just had that cleanliness to him that was his aesthetic. Like, it wasn't super wild, wasn't good for television, you know, like it was missing the extra little oomph for like a 60s, 70s TV show, sure. Not saying he didn't do some. I know he collaborated on a lot, but it was just growing up and going to that show and looking at these cars that children were drawn to. Not like just the adults, not just the kid looking up to his dad, like, do we like this, Dad? Which is a modern thing. Like, some kids only like the car their dad liked.
Yeah.
And my dad only liked a 57 Chevy, and I was like, I like so much stuff that just never really held me up. So going to all these shows and really getting to develop an aesthetic and understand the differences in aesthetic from the level of detail that being alone made from me. I was just like the perfect recipe for pulling off something as crazy as this Hot Wheels Legend. Like the Hot Wheels Legends tour and anything I go for, like I try to put I can't just make it easy on myself, dude. Like I could look at this and go, you know what? If I started right now building this and showed it next fall, I could compete for the Amber Award, you know, like I could really go for something big. But I'm like, but I could also build 4 cars. I could do burnouts with one of them. I could do wheelies with another one, you know, like
And
I
you
could
win
make
a 1/64th of another one.
dude. And I just look at it like, yes, I know that just like my little RV, I built it out of garbage, complete trash. Like it was trash. But I have kids that are actually going to be using it as an RV. Do I need it to be a 100-point show car? It's nicer than it should be for me to own it.
So I want to talk about that alone time that you're talking about whenever you were little. You know, it's funny because I had an older brother, and we always had sports. We were playing basketball in the winter. We were playing baseball in the summer, soccer in the fall. You know, there was always something going on. We were fucking hunting in the winter, you know, around Thanksgiving and stuff. So as far as alone time goes that you're talking about, that never hit until I was out of WyoTech and I started working in the oil field and shit like that. But that was where I feel like that alone time is the most productive as far as like, all right, what am I going to do with myself?
I interpreted something from a documentary I watched one time, and it was about Robert Johnson, and you know he went to the crossroad and sold his soul to the devil to become a legend, really,
The man.
essentially. So, all within his social group, everyone knew him as a lackluster, just one of the boys that come in and strum along. And that's how I was always seen too. Like I really was seen like that. And then when my grandpa died, I kind of looked around at his friend group and I realized I was only hanging around with these guys because of my grandpa. Like I I really got time to think about like when was my happiest? When was I doing my best? What was when I was felt like when I finished something, I felt good. You know, not because it was something, but just because I spent that amount of time of my life doing that. And it always comes from me being alone. Like it always does. And I always tie that back to that Robert Johnson, to where it's like he didn't sell his soul to the devil. He walked away from all distractions. And when he came back, they said, something's happened. He's had to sell his soul to the devil. And in a certain way, when you're walking away from a social group and standing on your own, you kind of are selling your soul to somebody. And I felt like it was me, and it was my family, as my tribe. It was everyone that came before me that made me. I will stand on their spirit, and I'm going to build something on it. You know, I felt like I had a strong enough foundation that I had started at WyoTech, that with any career that I wanted to do, if I just went in and nope, at all costs, I'm doing my best, and if it ain't good enough for you, I ain't good enough for you, like straight up. And I pissed more people off trying to make everybody happy than I ever pleased.
Yeah.
You know, like I made way more people mad. So it's like, no, the path to hell is paved in good intentions. And if you can't keep from it, you might as well just do what you see is right. And I believe that's what Robert Johnson did. And, you know, the jumping back into the social group and letting that pump him up is what eventually killed him. You know, the poisoning of a liquor bottle was done out of jealousy. That was done out of jealousy. So I don't see it as that there's a devil on my back. There's a devil on all of our backs. And you can't listen to that all the time, you know? And I'm doing what I can to keep that guy hushed, because I don't feel like I'm this super good, holier than thou art guy doing good things. No, I'm a bad guy trying to do good things, like all the people in the world. You know, all of us are creatures of habit that you have to break. And you have to be by yourself and be honest to know what those habits are to break. I went through even the Hot Wheels Legends Tour. I went through the Hot Wheels Legends Tour. I hit the target, but not the bullseye. And if I come here with my friends and talk to them about how I could have done this, all I'm going to get is, buddy, you did good. You did this. You did this. But when I'm set by myself, I can allow a monster to be in the room and go, no, dude, you ruined this. And you could have done this. And this is where you need to make that adjustment. And this is what to do. And I mean, I'll get myself crying. And I have to remind myself, just like all the people that were hard on me before, is I'm not being hard on myself to be a dick. I'm being hard on myself because I know that there's something special in me that deserves to come out. And I'm reminding myself that all the time. And it's hard, man. It's hard to be in a shop that I ask for. I put my head to the dirt and I pray to have a show, to have my own shop, to be able to build cars that will just get noticed. I'm not saying be liked. I want half of my audience to love it, and I want half of them to hate it. You know, like I want to truly make an impact with what I do. I want it to spark a conversation and emotion. I don't want it to just be, that's cool. No, I want someone to look at it and be disgusted with what they see for something I've done that I did have a perspective on that I can explain. Because I've won over more people that hated everything I did and made them, not made them, but they actually gave me the opportunity to understand how odd I am and why I like what I do and why I do these things. I'm not building this for anybody but me. At the end of the day, every car I build, even if I do have to sell it, if you're driving a car I sold you, you ain't doing nothing but hanging out with one of my ex-girlfriends. That's all you're doing. You know, and the day I can afford it, I'll have every single one of them in here with the cast members I'm building now. But my goal through this whole thing isn't to be a shop builder and to build cars for rich guys and do all these things. You know, I want to associate with my friends. I want to be here to make their projects and their dreams bigger than they can actually do it on their own. And I want to live, man. Like, I want to live and see what that is, truly. Not what I can live and do and what choices I can make, but what I do on positive and negative momentum and just always keep momentum going. Like, try my best, do my best at all times, and rely on the people that are here around me. Don't go dragging people into my problems. And when I do that, it kind of, the aloneness leaves me open and available for people that are truly interested to associate with.
Yeah.
You know, if I would have, I had a pickle sponsorship open up last year that I kept, like, you're the first person I really said that to, publicly broadcasted that, but I have been offered sponsors before.
We can leave that on.
Yeah,
we can leave that on this.
Yeah, I didn't say the brand. It's a pickle sponsor. It's not anything, but it was because I built Big Deal in the pickle jar.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was obviously like, oh, I can do this thing. I can market a brand. Like, that's cool. But it wasn't my brand. You know, it wasn't one that helped me build anything. And that was what I was looking for in associating with people. So like, all the things that I said no to, it was like, guys, I don't need, and I hate to be this guy, but like, if I don't need it to make it, I don't want to try to sell it to someone else that thinks they will need it. I don't want you to think you've got to eat a half gallon of pickles to build a car, man. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. So the association with WyoTech that became open and available through me calling and asking for help, dude. Like, you've been to WyoTech, you know how it is. Like, when you ask an instructor, hey, how do I get a job at Ford? How can I go and get it? Like, what route do I go? It's almost like going to therapy, like, for your career.
Well, sign up for it. Well, the beauty of it is, you know, with WyoTech, you can just sign, like, whenever I was there, they had a book that would have a new client in it.
Yeah.
And you just go sign up, and you get a guaranteed interview.
Guaranteed.
And people were like, you know, I don't know if we were ready to do the WyoTech talk or anything, but I mean,
yeah, let's do it,
dude. That's just
the opportunities that are missed. And, you know, like, I know you see it too.
All they had to do was walk up behind the teacher and put their name down. They were guaranteed an interview.
Dude, even the ones that got out, maybe they did do the interview, maybe they did do all that, and then still they've got bad things to speak. I don't understand how just the tooling that's under the building, just the tooling that you get open access to, the knowledge of the instructors, which you don't even have to put that in.
When were you there?
I graduated high school in 2008, and I went to collision, refinishing, and street rod right then.
Yeah.
You know, so I graduated in early 09.
So what, that was a year and a half for all of that? Or were those all the 6-week classes or whatever?
No, see, I was only there for 9 months the first time.
Okay, all right.
I was there for 9 months. My core was collision refinishing, and then my
street rod was on
add-on, because I wanted to do sheet metal repair.
Right.
Like, I wanted to coach build cars. I wanted to do lead work, and
How was that training for that? Because I didn't. When I went to college, it wasn't right out of high school. Like, I had to go do 85 jobs that I fucking hated. I never went. That alone time, what I was talking about earlier, was when I realized what I wanted to do with life. It's like, I want to cook, or I want to fucking build cars.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if I want to cook for somebody, what can I live without?
Yeah.
I can live without building myself a car, but I love fucking, I should have brought the fucking barbecue along. We could put some ribs on and been done by the time we were done with this.
I grew up raised by a spirit, though, that you had a hobby that you could be passionate about, and you could turn that into a career.
Yeah.
And then you still had to do something that, you know, like, made a name for you, that you went to work, you developed a Rolodex kind of people that can rely on you and have seen you work in person. And I just worked so much growing up for the farmers out here. And I worked at a winery while I was in high school up the road, and I was a dishwasher. I just washed dishes. But I still use them as references because they seen my work ethic. Like, that's, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to impress people with what they've done, and what's really more important is how you do. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you do it to the best of your ability around people that are only looking for people that do their best at everything they do, because that's all people are looking for in business.
That's the reason
they want to know that when they sign up to do something with you, that even if it isn't the best, it's your best. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't do the best, but I can do my best. That's
genuine. Because I've worked for a shitload of shops. I don't know if when you got out of WyoTech the first time, did you work at other shops or anything like that?
That's the wild thing. Like, I went through WyoTech as not a star student the first time. Like, I thought, and I had this chip on my shoulder that I already know how to do all this.
Yeah.
I am what I am. I was an 18-year-old know-it-all.
Young and dumb and all that good stuff.
And I get in there and I really get humbled and kind of get my feelings hurt a little bit by thinking I was way more than I was when I got there, which was good. It was so good to knock me down. But when I got out, I came back to this area and I was like, I'm just going to start building cars again. I built a chopped and sectioned truck like this 50 Chevy. And I took it to an O'Reilly Auto Parts for an open car show they were having. They just opened O'Reilly for the very first time. And it was like the summer they opened. They were trying to get people, new customers to come in there, but also trying to get guys to work in there, which I didn't know. So I go in there, I show it, I get best unfinished. And at the end of the day, he was like, where do you work at? And I said, I need a job. Like, I don't have a job. I need one. And he said, well, I'll hire you. Like, he said, I'll hire you today. Like, you can start working. So I got a job at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I sold parts for 2 years.
Okay.
And that was what I did 40 hours a week. And then at home, I still built. I still did what I do now. I've always spent my free time doing this. But the job at O'Reilly actually helped me out a lot because during the week, it let me be around people's problems. Like, they didn't come in a parts store because they wanted to during the week. They're there because they had to be.
Yep.
And I did not want to be the one behind that counter. It let me learn quick that, dude, go home, work really, really hard, get better. And then that landed me a job eventually at a manufacturing company called On-Site Manufacturing, and I got hired in there as a janitor. But I had the potential to grow through there. I seen that they hired painters, and what they would do is buy units, like big generator units and stuff for hospitals that had caught on fire.
Yep.
And then we would strip them down, and I was a restoration expert for that.
Right.
Dude, do you understand that generator has more parts on it than a hot rod does? So if you can take that apart and fix it, that's how I learned schematics. That's how I learned how to do all this stuff, was from on-site manufacturing. Like, I learned on the job there. But I'd already went through WyoTech. I had a base of like what the business aspect was looking for, but I always had this regret of like, I wish I would have taken WyoTech more seriously. My second phase, my very first class, I was the dumbest person that passed. I had a 70.2 after the finals.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in my second phase knowing I'm the dumbest guy here. Like, that hurt. That sucks, dude. Especially, I was trying. Like, I thought I was doing good. Right. And I'm like, man, I ain't nowhere near where I thought I was going to be. Come out, get in the real world, parts stores, janitors, with a college education, you know? And it was based off of that mentality of, I thought, if I had this, I will just be the man. Instead of like, no, dude, you've still got to do the work. You have to do all this. And I did so well at On-Site that I was seen by a hot rod guy locally there in the town I was working in. And he offered me a job coming in and working on hot rods for him. And I told him, I will, but I'm going to reapply to go back to school for upholstery. I'm watching all these people spend a lot of money in the area, send their cars to Georgia, send their cars all over. If I'm going to be a big name in the automotive world, I think it would be easier to do it. Because I was trying to build cars like I am now and make a name.
Yeah.
And I was a 20-year-old kid. So it's like, instead of that, why don't I just try to be like the upholsterer in this area? Like, I'll pour my passion into that for, I thought, 5 years. And then I will be able to do the cars. And then once I hit 5 years, I realized I had to do it for another 5 years. I was building cars, but I couldn't do it and land a sponsor. Like, everyone that was calling me was more for upholstery than it was anything. I mean, I even have a tramp stamp. Like, I'm the upholsterer.
Oh, hell
stores,
yeah.
You know, like, I went ahead.
I saw that on that fucking interview you did with the Aussie.
Yeah.
The Aussie and the other dude. I forget where he was from, man. That was fun. Dude.
That was awesome.
They fucking shit their pants. They lost it.
Yeah, no one expects that, but it's like, no, I'm all in on whatever I'm going for at the time. And if I'm running a traditional upholstery shop and want to market it on a social media world, I get a tramp stamp, dude, and you blow up. Yeah. Like, I got a tramp stamp and it says hashtag upholster to the stars. And I just started tagging it and everything and playing the game. Like, really starting to understand how business worked. And, you know, like my mom and all, I'm like, you mark your body with that stuff? And I was like, do you understand what I'm doing to the inside of my body chasing this stuff? What's the outside matter? You know, I'm killing myself to try to make this dream come true.
That's just the chalkboard.
Yeah. But going back I called my recruiter. I was going to leave that factory and go to work at the hot rod shop, but I knew if I got into that hot rod shop before I made a true goal that I would die there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I need to set up something big for me. I'm going to call and see if I could go back for upholstery. And they set me up with a good route to come back. It took me a little longer because the school was going from, I don't know if you remember, but they would have a night class too.
That's where I went to the night class.
Okay, well,
you went to Blairsville, right?
Yeah, I went to Blairsville.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, the first time I went there, they had night class and everything, and then I actually got held up going back when I wanted to the second time because they were transitioning from getting completely rid of the night class just because of student count.
Okay.
So they were going to all daytime classes, and my upholstery class was like the first one that they combined days and nights.
I feel
together.
like I was at the end of the night class, like now that you're talking about it, because you graduated the second time, what, 12, 11, 12?
I graduated June of 2013.
See, mine was either June of 11 or June of 12.
Okay.
I think it's June of 11, I think. So, which is crazy. Like when,
Well, and the thing is, it took them, that's another thing. Like, you go in and you set yourself up through a system of school. So if you set up a 9-month system, they can't go changing, So, they said, we're getting rid of the night class. And then they still had to run for like a year to get everyone that was on contract for this schedule out. So it was kind of a mess when I went to sign. I kind of caught them in a weird time. But I told them, hey, I'm going to come back for upholstery. I know you're going to look my grades up and stuff from last time, but I just want you to know that I've been out in the real world and there's a different man coming back. Like I had a house, I was betting my house on it now, and I quit that job. I decided that I was going to load up my 57 Chevy wagon and go to school. So I did.
Well, the beauty of WyoTech is the fact that it's like a 40-hour job. It's like a 40-hour job.
And you have the ability, like here, a 40-hour job is part-time. Like everybody's working 60 hours.
But I know, I think it was 9 hours. I went in at 4 and I was out at 1 or something.
Oh, dude.
I can't remember what, 2 o'clock.
The best part of it, though, is the extra time that you can get. I liked it when it was night class, too, because if there was just something that I was going to go home and dream about and get aggravated and everything, I could go to the instructor and say, can I just stay after for a couple hours and finish that? Can I just finish up my work? And I never had one tell me that. To be honest with you, I went into WyoTech really trying to make a better future for myself. Like
Me too.
right off the bat, I knew that, guys, I'm serious. I don't want to waste your time. I'm not trying to have you waste mine. I want to actually be a part of WyoTech and you guys, because I didn't do that the first time.
Yep.
I didn't. So I went in and I said, guys, I want to be a class leader. I want to stay busy. And I told Keith and Martin, which were my instructors, I said, I promise that I will be the best student you've ever had. And they laughed at me.
Yeah.
They were like, we've heard that before. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I have, and this was really the first time I exercised it, but I said, I have something inside of me that's telling me that I can do so much if I stop screwing around. And when I went back for upholstery, I put that into action. Mm-hmm. Whatever I had that when I put my head to the ground and prayed to, whatever it is that's answering back is telling me I've got so much more in the tank that I'm wasting. And if this time on earth is a blessing, I need to treat it like one and I need to be my best. So when I went into WyoTech, first day, I was like, I remember them giving out standing students, you've got to work for one of them plaques and the best guy in the class is going to get one. And I told him how to spell my name on day one.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm telling you right now, there ain't nobody in here that's going to outdo me. And when we introduced ourselves being in class, I was like, I'm here to absolutely crush this class. I'm here to do as good as I can. And I wanted to put that target on myself because I know how I am. If I get the least bit comfortable, I start slacking. I naturally make uncomfortable situations for myself for that fight feeling in my stomach. My dream as a kid wasn't to be a car builder. It was to be a UFC fighter.
No shit.
Yeah, I got in a car wreck when I was 16 that stopped all of that. But so that was, I said earlier, you were looking at a career path and a hobby. Cars were always my hobby to keep my mind straight so I didn't stress out so much at my wrestling meets and, my practices and my drill training. I'd have panic attacks and get to where I was puking and stuff. I hated every single ounce of it as a kid, but I put myself through so much of that now I'm chasing that. It's like when you're going to drive a bus you've never drove before and you don't know if it's going to make it.
The whole way
all
to
these
Texas.
feelings. Like, it's just, there's a feeling that comes with pushing yourself, like I did going back to school for upholstery, that was like, I have a house to lose this time.
Yeah.
I have saved extra money to build a building that I have to work in, and I don't know if those guys are going to get the job done when I'm gone. But when I come home, if it ain't ready to work in, the house is gone. And I'm going to be living in this 57 Chevy station wagon. So I had a girlfriend at the time that is now my wife, and I thought that me doing all that would run her off too. I thought, man, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take myself seriously. I've worried about what she wants me to be, what she wants me to build, all this stuff. To hell with it. I ain't even going to ask. I'm going back to school. I'm going to do upholstery. We can lose this house. I don't care. You know, soon as I tell her that I want to restart my life, she's going to leave anyway. And I pretty much told her a few days before I was leaving. I was trying to avoid the argument. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that, like, stay as long as you want to, but I'm heading out to do this thing. And she, when I got back, she had went and got 2 jobs to keep me floating.
Wow.
And, I realized right then that I'd been taking what I already had for granted, you know, like for a long time with even my girlfriend. So I came back and I rebuilt a business, started with the upholstery shop and went all in on it. And knowing that she had my back there was, I don't know, it was probably the missing puzzle piece that I had my entire life to actually succeed. Like, I could show that you're going to have to work hard to beat me, but you could beat me, you know, because I had self-doubt. Like, I had a doubt to where I would go, you know, I'm going to go in and get some sleep. Those guys, they've got all the money in the world. I don't know why I'm even doing this anyway. To where then I had this woman that she is willing to lose everything too. Like, she's not willing to, yeah. And it's like, holy crap. Like, I actually have been trying to build this team that I already have right here. Like, I've already got this. All I really need is someone to look at what I'm doing and just let me know I'm not wasting my time. Like, and tell me when I am. Like, I'm not too good to go, why are you doing this right now? And she'll do that. Like, she does that because she wants the best for us too. And then after I started the business, it became a lot more apparent to me that I was chasing down, like, stability, actually. I wanted my own thing. I wanted to be my own man, and I didn't want someone to tell me no and it stopped me from doing what I wanted.
Yep.
I wanted to know that if I told you an idea I had and you shook your head and said no, that I'd say, watch this. Like, that's what I wanted. And you can't do that when you work for somebody else. You can't look at your boss and say, to hell with you, dude. I'm doing it anyway. On your own time.
Yeah.
Not on mine.
Hit the fucking bricks.
So that's what just being in here and just for the first time kind of being in control of something, getting to call the shots and not just sit in the back of the room and go, this is so stupid. Why don't they do it like this?
Yeah.
I started learning why they didn't do it like that. You know, you can't do everything full throttle all the time. It runs off some of your associates, you know. Sometimes you have to slow down to explain yourself and let people in. And I always kept walls up so much from just, dude, I didn't want to get my feelings hurt by people that don't matter to me. And that was such a waste of time.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting statement right there.
Building a family with the person that actually cared, though, made me shift that. It's obviously something I have in me. It's obviously some kind of mental block that I have to where I'm trying to please somebody. So it's like, if I can't please myself and I don't care to please other people, what am I doing? And then when my wife and me, like, when we decided it's kids time, like, let's have a family, let's build something here. Like, this property isn't temporary, baby. Like, it isn't. I'm going to build this up. I have a show on Paper to Pavement called Mikey's Acre of Earth, because that's all I own here, and that's all I plan to. I don't need any more than this one little acre to build everything I need to. I own the sky all the way to the moon right here. And if I need to build a skyscraper on this piece of property to accomplish what I want to, I will. And I know I don't need to. I think people are getting really blinded by the products in this world and the processes that are making 50 people be a middleman to you.
Yep.
The only thing you really need is a good agreement between the man with the money and the man pouring in the blood, sweat, and tears. That's it. Those are the only 2 people that need to be on the same page. If anyone else in between y'all have a problem with you, it's actually fun to ruffle their feathers, you know, because it's like, dude, the boss don't care that I'm doing it like this. Why do you?
Yeah.
You know, and I do think if there's enough people out there that will stand on their perspective like I will, and actually be honest in your alone time assessment, make the adjustments you need to be the best version of yourself, we'll see the industry grow in the next 10 or 15 years with the advancements of even the introduction of AI and these, dude, it's almost like we're in a point in time where we can have the George Jetson robot slaves if you look at it that way.
Well, I mean, we're landing fucking rockets the same place they left.
And
like, buddy, it's not, and that's reality. That's not even AI.
You can shrug your shoulders at whatever you want to, and I know that that there is a man or a woman on this planet that can sit down and figure it out. I do understand that. Mm-hmm. But the speed in processing information is very valuable. Like it is. And I don't want AI in here making my artwork, no. But I want them doing my stupid work so I can do my artwork, you know? So, and I was 100% against it. I call it AI, like I have real AI. I have artistic intelligence made by human hands. You know, that's it. That's all I'm worried about. And the rest of the stuff is just extra. It's tools. Are you telling me that it is better to build a house with a mechanical drill than a DeWalt? No, it's not. No, it isn't. These are tools that are going to speed up the process of life for everybody. And if we can not get car sick from it and actually lock in and focus on what's important, what will better the trades industry, what will better just individual growth and craftsmanship, you'll see people really start investing that alone time into their self to make products and things that are worth associating with. Instead of, hey, we need 50 people on this team to make this one product, you can have 50 people with the help of AI. To me is nothing but supercharged Google. So you've got supercharged Google in the hands of someone that's actually intentionally, positively trying to make an effort towards making a difference in a task instead of a product. Like, let's focus on these tasks that need to happen.
Well, that's what
and
AI...
now you can develop products individually.
Yeah, well, that's what AI was made for, was like, before we can go to Google and be like, type in a question, and then you get literally an infinite amount of search.
And it's only other humans.
Yeah, but now AI is like, I ask you a question, and they just go through all those 5 hours of research time and gives you a direct link to the exact answer you're looking for.
And there's no one to offend when you don't like what they have to say. That's been a problem my entire life. Like, I'm never proud of how I naturally react to stuff. If someone says something I don't like, I feel it. Like, I feel it in my gut. And I'm like, what? You know, like, I do that.
Yeah.
Like, God, you don't even understand what the hell I'm talking about. Like, and I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm just like a dog hearing a whistle. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I don't get that with AI. I mean, I'm not using AI right now. I'm not. But I am very intrigued by it. And I'm watching it. And I'm watching it grow into something.
ChatGPT, man.
Yeah.
ChatGPT's helped me write articles and shit for my blog and all sorts of stuff.
And and Trent's is not using it, but he is entertaining the idea of how to learn how to, because right now, I was joking earlier off camera about Tesla robots.
Yeah.
I want one. Like, I eventually want one.
Rosie from the Jetsons, man.
Exactly. Like, I don't want it to be like a taking my work or doing work for me. I want it here to keep the pencil sharp and to do, you know, I mean, to literally do the mindless stuff that when I hire guys in here, they act like I'm treating them poorly. And I'm like, guys, I'm not treating you poorly. I'm just the idea here. Like, I want to just consciously stream art. I don't really want to collaborate with, I like collaborating with other artists.
Yeah.
But I can't afford to hire an artist. Like, the people I'm hired are entry-level technicians or high school students or stuff.
To do shit that well, it's like, okay,
I like cleaning my shop. I like doing those things too, man. Like, I kind of feel like they're taking part of the process from me.
Well, it's like my wife, she likes to mow grass. Like, she literally likes to mow grass. That's one of the fucking reasons I married her, so I never had to mow grass again. Cool. but she genuinely, she likes it.
Yeah, there's a zen that comes.
I mean, I'm sure, don't get me wrong, she's like, fuck, I gotta mow the grass.
Yeah.
But
she's not out there going, I would much rather be at the bottom of a coal mine right now. You know, like right. that don't happen, dude. Right. Like, it's fun. I pedal mow my grass. Like, I made a bicycle lawnmower to mow my grass. I enjoy the struggle of a situation, and I feel like I do it on purpose. Like, I'm actually looking for the hardest way to do something. So when I eventually get to where I want to be on, you know, shows, I I would like to be on one of these budget build offs with the roadkill guys that I'm seeing these people get opportunities to. The partnership through WyoTech will probably open up opportunities that in the future. I definitely see that, but I
wanted to
see
talk
that
about
I'm
that too,
overly
eventually.
prepared now, you know? And it's not I'm overly prepared because of how much I've done. I'm overly prepared because how I have done on purpose. Like if someone walks in and they go, "Hey, we've got a wrench to throw in the gear," I'm like, I'm throwing 5 in myself already. You know, like I ain't worried about that. Even the pickle jar and all them last year, the reason I built green cars is because of my least favorite. I said, if I can build something in this shop that's green that I like, I can win this show. So I built them.
That's awesome.
So it's like I'm not even pandering to myself sometimes. It's just like
that's like Grant Cardone shit. You know who Grant Cardone is? Oh my God, one of the best salesmen on the planet, right? He fucking hated sales. He was a car salesman. Hated it. Like he was a drug addict, came out of rehab and went back. The only job he could get is
he's a salesman. I hear you.
So he ended up going back to the only job he could get.
Yeah, sales.
And it was sales, and he was like, I hate this. But he's like, if I can get really, really good at something I hate, then I know I can do anything. And now it's just unreal.
There's a superpower in that too, man. I said it earlier, eating this shit sandwich and knowing you can swallow it.
Yeah.
If you get a shit sandwich chef that just always wants to do that to you, you can just chew it up and smile at them. They just go away, man.
Yeah.
Like those problems just naturally go away in your life, and you start to realize, I mean, there will be stories of me like, this dude's just crazy. Like he goes in and just sets himself up and sets his tools on the floor and just starts banging sheet metal out on the floor and stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about it falling off a table if it's already on the floor.
Yep.
So I'm seeing myself saving time that way. I can stretch out while I'm working. I can lay on my belly and use a vise. I can stretch out just like I'm watching TV at home, and I feel like I am. I feel like I'm playing. So, I mean, my goal is to turn every task from work into play.
Well, the beauty of
and sometimes it's no more than just moving where the cars are sitting in the shop for it to feel like a playground.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of what you're doing here is the fact that, I mean, you don't. Okay, I follow all sorts of people on the old YouTube and the interwebs and shit, and you know, it's like there's no doubt that I can't make this shit, but I don't have $60,000.
Yeah.
And I don't have a building designated for half of it to be one massive fucking tool.
MagnaFlow isn't coming into my shop and putting exhaust on this for me. It ain't happening.
I'm not getting, a promotion for every fucking, what is it, Bailey's, every fucking metal
The
tool
tools
from
and stuff.
I couldn't even have a car in there if I got everything that I would want to build shit like that. But the stuff that you're building here, I mean, you're building out of scrap and trash. People's trash, people, a lot of people, I mean, I've cut shit off of cars and thrown it the fuck away that I should have just brought here.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you if you had a bead roller, because I had a fucking shit bead roller I was going to bring down to you if you didn't have one.
I appreciate that.
And I was like, well, if he's got at least one from Harbor Freight, it's better than the one that I could bring to him.
Well, I want to play with this stuff so much that I do have. I'm not the guy that just goes cut any car up. I don't care. I actually do care. Mm-hmm. I can't afford my favorite. My favorite car is an Izetta. I can't afford a nice one. So what I can afford though is the leftover shells that they have gutted for restoration.
Yeah.
So like the most expensive shell I've ever I didn't buy the pickle jar one. The one that's on the pickle jar was given to me. So I honestly, I've only bought one Izetta body out of these three. I've only bought one, and it was the Harley Davidson powered one, big deal.
Yeah.
And it was, dude, it was roached. Like the whole side was caved in. They had just.
I think that might have been the first thing I saw, because I always wanted to do a bug. Okay, so there's this town where I grew up. Like I always pictured this from fucking way back. So I always pictured. Like there's a restaurant right on the corner. It's a 4-way, and they're big buildings. You can't see shit around.
Okay.
But like if a hot rod comes down or a Harley or something comes down, it's shaking the whole fucking town. And like I always pictured somebody sitting in this corner lot eating dinner, and this thing just rumbling. And you think it's a Harley, and it's this fucking black Volkswagen with a Harley engine in it, just screaming.
Well, and a lot of people now they make an adapter to where you can put a Harley in the back of those things.
Yeah.
Like they're super cool.
Yeah, and I think whenever I saw that it had a Harley engine in it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna spend some time on this. And then it was like the fucking rabbit hole of Mikey is just.
It's wild because
Well, the videos that you guys do, I don't mean to interrupt, but the videos that your guys are doing, if for the listeners that haven't seen this shit, it's nothing like I do, where I describe what the hell I do and then I cut it.
Yeah.
Like you've done the whole build or the whole big process. You've recorded through the whole thing, dude. What was the guy's name that does this with you?
Trent.
I was going to call him Travis. I'm glad I didn't. But Trent, like, you guys putting this shit together, I mean, it's a fucking movie.
We try. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see myself as a car builder. I see myself as a producer. Like, I want to be an actor. I want to be a producer. But if me and Trent are going to take our time and make automotive films, which is what I want to do, if we're going to do this and spend time doing this artwork and doing all these things, what artists do I want to do? Well, I'm only interested in filming with the guys that will go to the edge of the earth just to tell you it ain't flat. You know, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guys. And as I started trying to build almost like a cast member of people, I realized that the cast members in the cars, like if I treat this like George Barris did and Ed Roth, I could keep owning these cars. I could make products of these cars. I could sell T-shirts and merchandise and posters, and then I can have access to any movie I want to make whenever I want to make it. So I mean, right now we're in the building process of this, but I want to get into animation and everything and know that I have my own stable of movie cars ready to pull from and make content off of. I don't see this as only like a build series and all these things like Mikey's Acre of Earth. I want to be like Mary Poppins style animation added into it. And I love claymation like Gumby and Wallace and Gromit, you know, like the real stop motion style things. And the introduction of AI to take our actual acted out motion, and then I can draw and I can sculpt and I can do all these things, take pictures of them. And now we can speed this process up and do things that don't need 50 people. Like I don't need this big production crew. I don't need all these things. And the independence that's coming from the artistry, like that me and Trent are out here finding from doing it on our own. Like when I was trying to build this roster and trying to make this more complicated and like, who are we going to find that's as crazy as this is us? Nobody.
Yeah.
So why don't we just turn these cameras on me and Trent will tell you, he's really quick to tell you, when I'm working, the best thing to do, I put my headphones in and I'm in my own world completely. Like I call it Mikey mode. On the show, we call it thrash mode. Just so you can, swallow it a little bit easier. But it's like Mikey mode to me is a state in which I get into where I don't have any doubt. And to do that, I have to not have any distractions.
That's
I got to eat
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
I can't take in a lot of sugar in the morning. And I have to be on some form of schedule, even if it is go to bed at night and wake up at day. Like I have to at least say something, or I'll sleep for 14 hours and then I'll be awake for 40 hours. And I don't pay attention to even the time of day and my kids or any of that stuff. And you can't do that as a human and plan on living a long life. So having Trent around is almost like, and I don't want him to feel small for this, but it's like a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Like he is a movable security camera that I don't pay attention to. And me and him have an agreement in here that it's like, dude, when I'm in my mode, I love you. I love you so much. No matter what I say, do, act, or look at you, no matter any of that stuff. It's just because I'm forgetting I ain't in here all by myself. And I want to treat this like it's myself, because that's the reason I didn't want to team up with anybody else. I didn't want to go to a production team. I didn't want to move to Atlanta and try to get on television, because my process is not all smiles, sunshine, and rainbow. I have to dig in deep and realize, okay, this is the trench of a war right now. I have to do all the body work on this before I can prime it and paint it. And if I don't get this painted, we're going to lose out on a sponsor next time that wants to deal with us this time. Yeah. So it isn't like I'm not in here going, this is great. No, the great part is knowing I accomplished it. That's the great part. And that's the part that's fun to sit here with you now. But if I didn't have my best friend in here with a camera, I would be on the internet as a monster probably off of my process. And you can see that if you went and actually watched it and see like the time lapses and like see how I do, what I do, and what's left of me at the end of some of these thrashes. You'll see it would be impossible to be happy and physically put yourself through some of the stress that I do.
Well, you're doing a year's worth of work in 60 days, 80
Yeah.
days.
Well, just to put it into perspective, I set, and we can kind of talk about the WyoTech sponsorship with this too, on May 21st of this year. That's my birthday, is May 21st. And I did jobs through the winter to get caught up from the debt I was in from last year's Hot Wheels.
Now, those jobs you're talking about, they're actual
upholstery
paying clients?
Yeah, like I hired in upholstery work last winter. I did a big van and I did a 36 Ford, like two very high end jobs to get me through the winter so I could get out of debt and then take the other little bit of money I had and go to WyoTech to try to enter in what Cindy Barlow told me. She was like, if you'll come in here, we can set up like a Shark Tank situation if you want to pitch us something. And they were just like, just don't be offended if you hear no. That's all. Like, set yourself up.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
That's it. And that's how I did it too. I was like, well, I know you're not going to say no if you hear what I've got to say. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do Hot Wheels again. I was trying to keep it quiet because I didn't want to promise something and then not be able to pull it off. So I went to WyoTech and asked if they would help me find a sponsor. Like, I didn't expect WyoTech to be interested, but they've helped me so much every time I've needed it that it's like when I wanted to be on TV, they got me on Chop Cut Rebuild, man. When I wanted to start my own shop, they helped me figure out how to do that. So when I go to them and I'm like, hey, I want to do this Hot Wheels Legends tour again. I don't have any money. Like, I don't have money for the build. I'm not wanting this sucker to be anything more than a low budget car. I have this, and I showed him this little bitty toy Hot Wheels car I made, and I was like, and I have a pile of scrap, but I did this last year and almost made it, and I'm just looking for a company that believes in me enough to start now, not get on halfway through, and when I'm aggravated because you're just now giving me attention, which is what I do, it's like I want to know someone's in my corner from the start for once, I really do. And they said, well, if you don't land a sponsorship, are you still doing this? And I was like, I'm going to build something, but I don't think I'll actually be able to pull off a finished product to take something. So I will be building for sure. Nothing's going to stop me, but it may just affect my timeline a little bit. And they were like, well, let's say we say yes. What happens? And I was like, if you say yes, I build a car that can go and be a true banger at the Hot Wheels Legends Tour this year. I proved last year that I could do it, and I know that I can, even if I don't make a deep run, I can at least get amazing advertising opportunities off the people that already know me. Last year, no one knew who I was. I did good.
Yeah.
Now all of them are following me. Everyone in the toy industry is following me because of that. So why would I stop now? Yeah, dude. It's like, why stop now? And WyoTech was like, well, if we've got a star player that's going to sit on the bench, we want to sponsor you.
That's awesome.
They offered to sponsor me, which, dude, that opened up, like that, it just exploded my brain because I can easily speak, and especially from the heart, and stand on something as much as I believe in as WyoTech. Because WyoTech took a greenhorn kid that could only build a bicycle and turned me into a potential Hot Wheels legend. I'm at least a Hot Wheels competitor. No matter what happens at the end of this, win, lose, or draw, I will go down in history books as a gatekeeper for this show. Like, to beat it, you got to go through me. You got to. And win, lose, or draw, it all means the same thing for me at the end of the day. I'm going to be building another Hot Wheels car to either chase down a title or defend it. So I pitched that to WyoTech. I was like, guys, I race with Sega, but even the Sega cars that I build for the H-Gas, even the cars I build there, I want to be known as potential Hot Wheels cars. I'm building them all in the same spirit. I've got an aesthetic here to where when you see it across the parking lot, if there is nothing to perspectively make you understand it, I want you to think that there's a toy car sitting out in the middle of the road. That's what I want. And WyoTech being, I mean, dude, they're looking for students. But even past that, they're looking for employers for these students.
Well, look at their Hall of Fame thing they're doing now.
Yeah, and now,
what do you think about that?
Dude, with the introduction of a Hall of Fame, it makes it like a real university.
Yeah.
Like, this is a place I can go, I can make an impact on that isn't just for these 9 months that I'm sitting here. They didn't just treat me like cattle and throw me out in the deli. That's not what they did. They invested in my time. They wanted me to do good outside of school. They've tried to place me in every opportunity that I got. Even the friends that I made that were my instructors from the start that now I'm collaborating with and going, hey, would you look at this and see proportionally there's something off. What is it?
Shout out to Brian Pierce, man.
Brian Pierce is my dude. Was he your instructor?
Dude, when I went there, I went for automotive service.
Okay.
And automotive.
ASM.
ASM.
Yeah.
Service management, automotive technology. Yes. And the funny thing is, the story you just told about all that, like when I went there, I already did the bullshit.
Yeah.
I already fucking was throwing mud for cement.
Yeah.
I was a dishwasher. I was a line cook. I was a paper boy. I was too much shit.
Yeah.
And you name it, I've done it pretty much.
Yeah, name tag collection.
Yeah. So when I went, I was like, I'm gonna ace this shit. And I graduated with 4.0.
Good for you, dude.
I was able to have the white cloth around me.
Nice,
dude. I was
so you're Eagle Tech?
Class president, not an Eagle. I was just graduated with honors.
I got you. Okay.
And I was class president a couple of times for a couple of classes and shit. So like, you know, they called me a kiss ass, but I was like, dude, I'm coming here to learn every fucking thing I can because I got to pay for it this round.
Well, and that mob mentality, I had it too when I got out of high school because that's what is developed in a high school.
Yep.
Like, public school develops that to where when you get there, it's almost like an enviness. Like there's an envy to
it's like someone
else trying hard, and you're like, what? You can't hate somebody because of effort.
Well, that's like somebody like them. Okay, I'm not getting political. I'm just talking about price tags on people. Like rich people don't just like 90%, 98% of rich people nowadays aren't fucking born into it. They work their ass off for it. You know.
Well, the climate just isn't there to sustain.
They're supposed to hate them.
Well, and the more time goes by, the dollar depreciates faster and faster. Like we've got so much momentum built up now that I don't care if your parent's a millionaire. You're not going to die one if you don't get to it. Like you can't just rely on your parents to build up this nest egg that's going to get you by. And my parents' generation and theirs before that did, especially out in this area. Like I'm seeing people that are like, man, my dad used to be able to do all that and all that. And I'm like, and you can't.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, your dad failed you, brother. Like he failed you. Didn't teach you that before he's gone and left you here to be without.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me doing things and doing well and being fast, that's fine. Yep. But if my kids aren't soaking it in and learning things too, I'm wasting my time. So I'm almost like sprinting right now to get a head start so I can get them in a better position in line when they want to get there. You know?
Right.
And I don't know, man. And if you don't have more to worry about than yourself, I don't think you can ever do anything other than get in your own way.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so much doubt that comes with sitting here and going, what should I do? Instead of just, with me and with Trent, with everything we do, the deal is I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to appreciate my best. And I want to live to tell the story. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then we sit down, we tell the story. So it comes off more like a movie than it does. YouTube now, man, is starting to turn into where like we put spark plugs in on this video, and then we put the plug wires on in this video, and we put the cap in on this video. And I'm just like, if I have to take time to show you how to do a tune-up on your car, what are we doing? Like,
what are we doing? It's just not your world.
No, and the thing is, like, there's so many people of it that are doing it that I don't want my show to turn into me watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, they want the views, but the thing of it is, like, I don't care about the views. I want somebody to actually sit down and watch the whole fucking thing and be like, that was great.
I tell you, man, I get more satisfaction, not from the comments, but from the private messages off of the views. I have some of the most elaborate conversations with the smartest people off videos that may only get 800 views. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm not trying to get that number. Like, that isn't the number I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get more one-on-one.
Yeah,
like,
right.
So I don't need 1 million views to land the perfect one-on-one. I don't need that. I just need to show who I am so I'm not wasting time going through a crowd. I don't need to go through the crowd. The people will watch and they'll understand off of what you show you want to do, man. And like, if you want to build trucks, like, I got guys that love mini trucks. Like, they're some of my best friends. My buddy over here, Darian White, on the other side of the woods there, he builds rat rods. Like, he's a rat rod guy. I'm not a rat rod guy, but it is amazing how much we can collaborate with each other because we start with the exact same scrap pile to build from.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not comparing my stuff to his at all, because where he goes, that's what they want. That's his style. That's his aesthetic. That he's nailing it.
Yeah.
But like, for what I'm actually going for, I'm farther back from the finish. Like, I start farther from the end than they do, because they're into patina. They're into all these things.
Right.
And I have an extra layer of complication that's always going to land me alone to where I can figure it out and truly develop. And if I was sponsored by, like, let's just say I was sponsored by a big parts store.
Yeah.
I would have products that I would have to use. I have to do a certain way. And with being sponsored by WyoTech, it allows me to really pursue my passion and the other independent artists and alumni and products that are American made, that are being built right here, that are getting masked by these big corporate opportunities that everyone's looking at. But if you're going to be one of 50 people speaking for a brand, and you have the opportunity to get paid even half as much to be one of 5 people speaking for a brand, I think that you'll bring in more good for yourself just because you get more stage time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of looking into developing any kind of process that's like, you can overcomplicate everything really easy. And my going to WyoTech and seeing a truly complicated machine work, like, you have 60 students with working power hammers and welders, and you've got 4 instructors going around and teaching all these guys. Like, I get to see how truly you can manage a project, you can manage people. And even Brian Pierce taught me something that I didn't know was so valuable. And he taught me that when I was learning how to TIG weld. And I really wanted to land just my perfect coupons. I wanted to take up there and just know that I ain't going to waste your time standing in this line. I'm going to bring you up perfection. And so I did. And I stood in line and handed them to him, and he said, "These are perfect." And he threw them in the trash. And he said, "But it's only worth anything if you can do it again." And I was like, "You son of a bitch, man. Like, you just threw away perfect welds, you know?" And he went, "Yeah, but I have faith in you to do it again, buddy.
Yeah.
Go back there, do them, and come up to me the next ones you do. I don't want to see you pick the best. Bring the next ones. I want to see the next ones." Well, the next ones I did were perfect too. And he said, that pressure is good, man. Like, just doing this pressure and putting yourself, don't worry about being perfect all the time. Just worry about doing your best. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I picked that up from Brian. And after I graduated, Brian went from a mentor to a friend, you know, and every time I did anything, he would private message me or share it. Still to this day. Like, if I post something, he shares it. And that is something I look up to. Like, I looked up to Brian. I was sitting in class on his 30th birthday.
Yeah.
Like, I remember celebrating 30, and now I'm 34, man. Like, I was an 18-year-old kid when I did that, when I celebrated his birthday with him in class. And I look at it now, and I'm like, man, I'm older than that. I looked up to him then thinking, like, this is the kind of guy I need to be. You know, he's working for WyoTech. Like, he's associating with Chip Foose on overhauling and doing all this stuff. Like, this is kind of my North Star here. This is the guy I need to listen to. And then when me and him got talking, and it was like, man, we ain't nothing alike. You know, like, I thought me and you were going to be best friends, and now I feel like you hate me, dude. And he went, I don't know, not at all. And he was like, you have such a unique perspective. And that was never appreciated before I went to WyoTech.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, my trip to WyoTech changed my life completely, to where it's like the beginning of my career and my confidence came from WyoTech. And then every time that confidence like got down to a flicker, that WyoTech was there to throw gas on the flame.
That's
you know?
awesome.
And if it wasn't for them coming on this season to help me with this Hot Wheels Legends Tour with the RV, I couldn't have done it. I literally couldn't have done it, or I would have had to go back with my old cars and just keep developing, which I don't like doing that, man. I don't like going, competing, making adjustments with that car to show again. Like, I see it as like, no, dude, you went in, you had your shot, like, hit the ropes, let somebody else get a title shot here.
Yeah.
So it was like, when I came back here off of a loss last year, and even Brian and all of them at WyoTech were so overly invested in that Hot Wheels chase, To where this year when I went in and asked to do it all over again, I was kind of scared. I was a little scared.
Yeah.
I thought guys like Brian would go, buddy, you finally doing something. Like, why are you restarting something? But I remember that it's not. Like, nothing is a restart. Nothing is a starting over. It's all part of the process. You have ups, you have downs, you have the failures. And the most beautiful thing about WyoTech when I was there young was I could make the mistakes for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And the instructors weren't like brutal to me. They were like, okay, well, this is the reason that happened.
Yeah.
This is the reason, not you idiot. You just cost me. You just cost me this job. I ain't gonna make no profit on this. If you learn on the job, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Do get that.
Yeah.
Straight up, that's what you get. But if you go to WyoTech, you get, well, the only reason that happened is because you did this. If you adjust this, try it again. Try again.
I feel like the foundation that was built from WyoTech, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Like,
No,
granted,
you can build a skyscraper on that foundation.
I mean, it's just, I mean, the crazy thing is we were talking about Brian there. I went to WyoTech, I left. I went to fucking oil field, did the whole bullshit, came back into the hot rod world.
You work in the oil field too?
Yeah, I went straight out of I had 7 job offers out of WyoTech, and one of them was the one that they only take one fucking person, one student.
That's cool.
The Skip Barber Racing School. I was one of them.
That's cool. Good for you, dude.
I was fucking the one, and I turned it down because they were only going to give me like $21,000 a year, and I was like, dude, I'm 25 or 26, and I can't.
If you were right out of high school, it'd be
all day.
Yeah,
all
but
day.
if you actually have to sustain one, that was the difference between me going the first time. First time I left my mom's basement, went to school, and it's just like, to hell with it. I got my mom's basement to fall back in. But then when I went back the second time and I didn't have my mom's basement to fall in, I'm like, I'm falling into the back seat of my car if this fails. Like,
Well,
this is bad.
If it wasn't for that, I don't think if I didn't hate every other thing I did as far as work goes, I wouldn't have taken it seriously.
Man, my bad thing is I always liked the job too much until I felt underappreciated, and then it was like a switch, I went from loving something to hating it off of one conversation.
That's why I started I.B.F.HotRods, because I was tired of people telling me how to do something, and I can clearly see that that's wrong.
Yeah.
And then I was tired of people telling me how to do something, and I ask them why, and they can't even give me a straight answer about it. It's just how we do it. But I just want to know why, because that's the foundation that I'm trying to build here. But
I've always been a question asker. That's why learning on the job has never been great for me. I know a lot of my friends are like, oh, if you get me around it to where we can get in there and I can watch you do it, like I can learn how to do it. I can't. I have to be forced to sit down and do it. I can't sit still unless I really care about something. And if I'm in a class, like, dude, I'll still tell you today, I hate doing convertible tops. Like, I've done a few of them, and I know for a fact that I hated doing convertible tops before I ever did them. Because when we did that lecture in class, I had to stand up from falling asleep the whole time. And it was the only day I was like that. Like, in upholstery, I loved every single day. But as soon as we started talking about convertibles, it reminded me of my dentist. And I was like, if I got to work for my dentist, I'd rather fight, hurt. I'd rather just go fight, You get knocked out, at least you're going to get $500 on Saturday. Yeah. I'd rather do that than get knocked out by my dentist Monday through Friday. Like, I don't want to deal with this. So I don't know why convertibles never were one that struck me.
I'm not a fan of convertibles, let alone, there's some convertibles that look cool, don't get me wrong, but convertible tops, making them work.
I'm a roadster guy, dude. Like, if you're a hard ass, be a hard ass, man. Like, I like a roadster. I like no option. Like, I don't have a top, like, that's cool. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But those guys that have that attitude are usually the ones with the convertible that go, what if you get caught out in the rain? You get wet, dude. Like, what do you want to know? You get wet.
Just pull under an overpass,
free
man.
Bath,
it's like a fucking motorcycle ride, man.
Free bath, man. It's cool. So when I landed that WyoTech sponsorship, that gave me the opportunity to know that I was going to at least be able to compete with something in 2024 this year in the Hot Wheels Legends Tour. And I didn't want to go back with just anything. What really led up to it being, an RV is the letters RV. I sat down on finale night crying, dude. Like, I was heartbroken. I didn't expect to make it as far as I did, but then hearing Jay Leno say you win something and then you don't, like, I got a virtual pat on the back from a legend. That's what I got. That's what I worked for. And it was heartbreaking. And when I sat down with my sketch pad that night, I wrote out the word redemption vehicle. Like, what do I, because I was like, what story do I want to tell? And Trent said, well, if Sylvester Stallone would have won in Rocky 1, there would have never been a franchise.
He lost?
Sylvester Stallone lost in Rocky 1.
See, I never
never watched
I'm from
him?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, dude,
people are
like,
gonna roast my ass because
dude,
I've never watched it.
Oh, you gotta watch it. Like, I watch it on repeat in here. Rocky 2,
I thought he fucking won. I don't mean to cut you off, but the whole Adrian.
No,
so he's yelling at Adrian.
Rocky lost in all the odd movies and all the odd numbered movies. So that's how you do it. So it's like he lost the first one.
Did he fight Hulk
So he
Hogan?
came back the second time. He came back in the second movie and beat Apollo Creed and became the world champion.
Did he fight Hulk Hogan? Wasn't there a Hulk Hogan movie?
He wrestled against him in the beginning of one of them. It was like a stupid, like a cross thing. It was like a WWF.
So there was something in there.
It was funny, but that is the whole thing. Like Trent told me, if Rocky would have won in the first movie, they would have never made Rocky 2. Like he had to go back and build from the ashes. But now people know what he's made of and turned into a career. So I thought, what do I want? Rocky 2 was a redemption story. It's like, well, what's my redemption vehicle? And as soon as I wrote the words redemption vehicle, I seen RV, and I told Trent, I was like, what if I stand in front of Jay Leno next year with an Izetta RV, and I say, remember me? This is my redemption vehicle. Boom. And that, like, just saying that and, like, saying it out loud and seeing the reaction in the room of,
putting
like,
that in the universe
dude.
already, right from the start of it.
Yep. Soon, and I did it with tears in my eyes, mad, furious. Like, no, imagine that. Say no to that. Say no to that. And I sat here and I was like, they were like, well, how much would it cost? And I'm like, like 30 G's, to make the one I was dreaming about in my head at the time. Because I seen a little square box on the back with big fat tires and figure out an engine I can stuff under the back of this thing where you can see it. Like, I was seeing a radical monster. I don't know if you know the bug I built in the past, but I built the car called the Six Offender.
Oh yeah.
And it was a pretty radical, just
Fuck
like
yeah, that
silhouette.
thing's cool as shit.
So it was like, I want to go for that same kind of like just in your face aggression with this Izetta RV. And the more time that went by in the year, it was like, I'm not going to be able to afford to. I don't have enough time. I'm only going to have 80 days again. That's all I can save up here. That's all I can get. So if I'm going to do this in 80 days, I have to build out of my scrap again. I've got to do this all the same way that I'm almost ashamed of at this point. And I pulled all the stuff out here, all my scrap out in the middle, and I was trying to dream up something other than this Izetta RV, but it was just haunting my dreams. Every time I drew a little Ford truck three-wheeler thing that I was calling the WART, the Work Assisting Recycled Transporter. Yeah, so I called it the Work Assisting Recycled Transporter.
That's a future build, cool. It sounds like.
Yeah, it was fun. But that was the WART, and I just had a lot of different ideas of even another team transport set. Like I was thinking about building the Six Offender, like a ramp truck for the Six Offender, and showing up with another thing that way. But just that redemption vehicle, like just knowing that if I have the opportunity to tell this story, like I'm going to go all in on this. And we had an eclipse here. And when the eclipse happened, I told Ruthie, my wife, I was like, I'm going to take the whole day off just to draw. Like I truly believe in something pulling the power. And if something that happens this like odd, I need to take the day off, soak it in, really watch it, see if it emotionally affects any of my decisions. And when that was done, that eclipse happened, it went completely dark. It started lightening back up. I had pieced together the wart in the middle of the driveway. I had drew it all before that eclipse, and it went completely dark. And when the sun hit it again, I said, I need to drag that piece of shit right back to the scrap. This ain't what I'm building. And Ruthie was like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm building an Izetta RV. I'm doing a redemption vehicle, and I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to do it. And I had drug out that three-wheel chassis to build the Ford truck, to build the Ward on. Like I drug that chassis out. And as I'm stripping all these panels off, I started to get this wild dream of what if the RV was three-wheel? What if I built it on this chassis right here? And I grabbed a piece of cardboard, and I drew a 3-wheel designed camper, just the camper. I was like, if I can do this and make this camper a tapered 3-wheel, but still, if you can lay in it, and a casket ain't straight, caskets are tapered. So it's like, I mean, I hate to compare my next build to a casket, but it's like, if I'm going to die on this hill, I'd at least need a place to be buried. So I'm going to put this thing, and I'm going to put this thing in my brain as a doable project. Like, not as something that I don't have what it takes, something as in, no. I have to make this off of what I have, period. I can do this. So I sat down, I drew it all, and I really started committing to the process of a toy. Last time I shot for this Hot Wheels thing, I hit the target. Like I say, not the bullseye.
Yeah.
But my bullseye is a toy car. So I thought, if I start with a toy car, if I make my own and then peel it back, bring it into reality, do all the math off of 1/64, just multiply by 64, and I have my pattern. Like, I'll just draw it all, I'll be good. So I made the toy, I translated it all into, a graph that I could then translate to this concrete floor right here with chalk. And I made every bit of that thing work on this little 3-wheel design. And Izettas are known internationally for being 3-wheel. So it's not something that wouldn't or couldn't have existed. This is something that a lot of people are going, I didn't even know they made these. So I'm starting to get even Izetta people looking at what I'm building and seeing that, like, my interpretation isn't to badmouth the Izetta. It's not to bring dishonor to my favorite car. It's actually to save some of these that are already been given up on. And the RV was sculpted by me. Like, I had that front door to start with, and all of the rest of it I made out of electrical conduit and just like the patch panels that were too rusty to stay on my old cars. Like, I didn't have anything nice to use. I had what I considered as a really good reference with my other cars. I was just using them as patterns.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's what we ended up calling the first episode of the docuseries, was Scrap Pile Coach Building.
Yeah.
And I told Trent, I was like, I'm just going to be a scrap pile coach builder. And he was like, that's the name of the episode right there. Like, that's the way to do it. So that whole first episode was literally that. It was, can I make a 3-wheel RV that looks like something I would have found that I can make adjustments from? Like, that is the goal here.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, you're talking about all this, and the shit that you're talking about, you can see on some of the episodes. Especially, you literally drew out the whole car on the floor in chalk. Wasn't your daughter out here helping at one point in time or something? Or
yeah, and that's something else I really want to talk about too, because people see my kids in the show, like in my shows and the things I make, and I mean, they like being in them, but I'm not trying to like push this on my kids or anything. I'm using my kids as an audience. Like, why post my stuff online and say, what do you guys think? They're not the ones that have to live with it. Like, I'm actually building this for us. And if I'm designing a toy, I have a 5 and 7-year-old that I can walk inside and say, hey, if we went to Walmart, would you rather it look like this or like this? If you're going to buy it, like, what do you think? And that just adds another layer in, like, I'm friends with old guys that come over. I'm friends with, peers like my age. But as far as kids, unless you have kids, it's creepy to get that perspective from a child. Like, it's weird to go in and ask, hey, what do you think of what I'm doing here? But having my kids available, it's like, I'll look at something. My daughter has even more of a detailed artistic eye than I do too. Like, if a silhouette is wrong, she can tell you where the weight is off on it. She'll be like, there's just something wrong about the back, Daddy. And I don't want to press her for why, because I don't want her to develop any kind of doubt.
Yeah.
But I do trust that kid's eye even more than mine.
The beauty of it is they're going to tell you the truth.
And I know that.
Hey,
I know
I look
that.
fat in this? Yes.
And I tell them that. Like, don't worry about hurting my feelings. It'll hurt my feelings if you don't tell me the truth. Like, I'll be way more hurt if we get somewhere and you go, I wish I would have told you. I actually liked it better. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I want to know that when we're there, we got beat at our best. That's it. I don't care if we win. But I want to go there and be like, I got beat, straight up. I got beat, and do we like it? Yes. Because if I don't like it and I tried to make it for somebody else, I'm going to sell it anyway, and I'm going to lose money. So it's like having the kids that I can go into, and when she's up on my shoulders, it's like, look way down. Like, what do you think? And translating from shop floor to reality, and those kids getting to see it. Like, I watched their imagination grow tenfold this year. I've went on site and built some of these other ones, or I've kind of had to keep them closed off because I'm thrashing so hard. And instead of like last year, I built the green Izettas. I built each one of them in 40 days.
Yeah.
Like I have 40 days in per car. I went, so 80 days total. This year I was like, no, I'm going to do all 80 days right now. Like I'm going to put it all into this. And then I'm going to spend the first 40 days just developing, just shaping around, making adjustments. I shaped the body the best I could to look like an Izetta, and it was too big, so I had to cut it down from there. But if you don't have anything to start with, I'm like, I just need to make something so I can make the adjustments that I don't like. I just need to have something to go. So we really got going on that, and I was able to have the kids be a big part of this because of the space I gave myself to develop. And that's something I will do from now on, just seeing how much positivity it brought into their creativity, because if they say, hey, what if we do this kind of car next time? I will do one. Like it's going to affect my decisions greatly if they get interested. So I want to really, truly spend the time getting them interested correctly, not just from the outside of like, oh, I want a 85 Corvette. Now, do you? Or would you rather do this like, you already know, like you actually understand this. And my kids understand that what I'm doing is different. They don't see this as something everyone does. And having them as young as they are and growing up kind of in a social media environment, they are seeing that not everybody does this. We go over to the store and everyone's wearing shirts of businesses that they don't own. And, my kids are smart enough to get that because I'm trying to put in their head of the importance of we got 2 rules here. Be nice and learn.
Yeah.
That's all they got to do. They're homeschooled here. As long as they're nice, fun will happen. Good people will happen. And as long as they're learning, you'll always stay nice.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you focus on those 2 things, like I think that they'll develop in their own time the way they are. And I thought that me kind of being the guide that got them through life might slow them down, and I don't get super political, but politics have got into school a lot, and I didn't want it to get in my kids' brain, and let them really sculpt them into something that they could be.
Yeah.
You start trimming a tree too soon, it's not going to grow as tall as it can.
Well, I don't have kids. I won't ever have kids, but just hearing and seeing from an outsider's perspective, it's like, it's just sheep, herd them in, herd them out. Literally, it's a free. I feel like school system now is a paid babysitter, and then they just give them whatever the highest paying bidder tells them.
I call public school. All it is a preparation program for the future convicts of America.
Why don't they teach them how to make money?
Well, and
they say go to college and then you'll make money. Why don't they teach
and not just make
how
money,
to fucking multiply it?
Not even just make money. Just make yourself usable. Like, don't make yourself a button pusher. Don't make yourself so overly controllable.
Yeah.
I have been labeled hard to work with in certain work environments. And then a genius in other work environments building the same things. And it's all based off of who's around you and who's invested in the idea. And you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to make the biggest impact. You don't. And my kids are getting to see this in real time.
Yeah.
I come out here every day. I'll wear my house shoes half the day if I want to. And we still get the videos uploaded. We still make it to the shows on time. We still get the cars done. And like I always say, I keep saying it, plans change for goals to stay the same, but the goals around here is to own a home, is to have a family, it's to own a shop, it's to be my own man. Those are my goals. I've already made that happen, so I can overcomplicate this and turn it into something that makes me hate those goals.
Yeah.
I can. Or I can show my kids that if you work hard enough, you can not just obtain your dreams, you can keep them alive in real time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to turn your dreams into anything you don't want them to be. You can sit here and you can keep living this dream that you create on your own, on your time. Nobody in this world has to speed up your process. None of your investors have to tell you what you're doing next. They don't. You can say, I'm sorry, goodbye. You can. You have that option. That we're human beings, and you have the option if someone is treating you less than that to act like a dog. if you rub me on the belly, I'll stick around. But if you're going to smack me with a newspaper, I'm going to skin on out of here, you know?
Yeah,
and
right.
I just really feel like there's been times I've got on job sites and I was treated like a dog, good or bad. I don't like it. You know, I don't like it. I want to be a part of the team. I want to know that you want my best work and I want your best work. And I know that my kids are growing up in an environment like that because I'm giving them importance. I'm not just saying, what do you think? I'm saying, okay, well, could you draw that up for me so I know what you're talking about? And I know what you're talking about, but I want them to learn to express themselves better than I learned to express myself. I felt like if I had somebody when I was a kid telling me that I was enough, like you've got enough in you already. If you just take the time to really focus, like you're the man, dude. If I would have had somebody do that, it would have sent me on a different path. I'm not saying a good or a bad one. I'm not saying that, but I know that the trouble and like the pattern of people that I've been attracted to that weren't good for me wouldn't have happened if I wasn't searching for something that I didn't need. You know, I always had everything I needed right inside of me, and my kids get to explore and find out in real time what it is in them that we can start investing in. Because my goal is by the time my daughter's 21 or 22, like I hope whatever her passion is, that she's pursuing that professionally and that I can be an employee for her. Because like if I would have had an employee with my skill level when I started, I could have taken on the world immediately.
Yeah.
And I want my kids to be in that position to where I will have accomplished what I set out to get you guys. My goal is to just cut some lines for them. I don't want them to have to walk through the same line that I did.
Yeah.
If I can cut them to the front, my bloodline in the future won't have to live like I do. And if I die a starving artist, they're going to eat forever. You know, and I do believe that. I believe that. And I've seen it in history. I've seen my favorite artists go unappreciated until after their death. And that could be in the cards for me. So I'm not trying to get selfish and try to get anything here while I'm able to, but I want to know that everything I'm building is getting left better than when I found it.
Yeah.
You know, so whoever comes along next is in a better position than I was when I got there.
I don't think that's being selfish. I think it's just being smart about it. You know, I feel like, you know, and the thing of it is, with you doing paper to pavement and everything, you know, me coming here doing the podcast, if I kick the bucket tomorrow, then
Let's hope that don't happen, buddy.
well, no, anybody that like your kids will be able to listen to this and know exactly what you were trying to do for them. They'll be able to watch all these videos. They'll be able to get the memories. Like I there's so many times that I just lost an uncle, and he said something to me the one time when I first started doing this podcast. He's like, "You can interview me. We can talk about your great uncle and him being the best mechanic I've ever met." You know,
That's cool.
And you know, somebody was in the room and was like, "Who the fuck would want to listen to that?" And it's like, the whole concept is like, he passed away. I'll never be able to have that conversation. But now
you wish you would have.
now I wish I would have.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I know you're doing all, like, the reason I'm doing everything I'm doing. I mean, I do think about shit like that, even though I'll never have kids and stuff like that. My legacy might die when I fucking kick the bucket myself.
I just always think that
But
there's
I feel
going
like
to
there's
be a
gonna-
level of person that appreciates.
Yes.
You know, no matter what, like you're always going to find someone that appreciates. If technology takes off to where like it's a law to have a Neuralink to where we all have to, you know, connect, and maybe in the future you can just go in and download what you want to learn and get it immediately. Like maybe that is a thing. But when I'm on my deathbed and my grandkids say, "What did you do with your life?" I want to be able to turn on. That's what I'm making right now. I'm not making something to entertain y'all as much as I hope you like it. I hope you do. But what I'm actually making is something that my family can go back and look on, and even other people's families can go back and look on and see that it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I hope it's a rags to riches story for us all, but if it is a rags to rags, I put in the effort, and I did it all to make anything matter from day to day, not try to make you guys $1 million to do nothing. Not that at all. Like, all I'm trying to do is something, and I wasn't placed on earth in a place where I got any unfair advantage. No excuses. Like, I have very little, but I never have excuses. Like it didn't happen this time. It will happen next time, and if it doesn't happen that time, I'll keep going. On the finale of last year, I made a post and just said, well, who knows what I'll build next year? And I'm in it. Like, who knows? But I know that this loss is going to make it awesome.
Yeah.
And without it, if they would have told me I won last year, that RV would have never existed.
Yeah.
So I can't thank them enough for misunderstanding me. It gave me the opportunity to go back this year, and I always set a goal. You know, like last year it was to stand next to what I make proudly, which I never really did before. I always had something to bitch about that I did. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to know I did my best. I'm going to be happy. That's my goal. This year it was like, I hope I get the opportunity to really show what I'm made of. And that's what I asked. I prayed about it, and I was like, I just want to, at the end of the day, go, whether you liked it or not, you know what I'm about. Like, you know that I'm in this full time. And getting to Indianapolis and showing the first time, I didn't feel like I had done enough. Like, it almost felt too easy. Like, why did it, you know, like, I haven't even missed much sleep. Like, I was sleeping 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and there was times in these that I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days. You know, I just couldn't. So it's like, there's a part of me that I was like, I know for a fact, even if I win this, and I told my wife this the morning of the show I lost, I was like, even if I win today, I'm going to know I could have done more. And she said, really? And I was like, I didn't spray the freak flake on it. Like, there's just a few things that I planned out because of the timing, and I'm like, I regret this. Then I lost. And all of them are like, oh my gosh, why did you lose? Why did you lose? And I was like, it is what it is, no big deal. And then when I came back here, my school bus hauler was in the bottom of my scrap pile. Like, I didn't even know if it'd still run. I screwed it all up, cutting it up last year. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I'm going to sign up again with the car for Texas. Like, I'm going to go to one of the Texas shows. I'm going to dig that school bus out, and I'm going to go and I'm going to win this thing. And she said, huh? I was like, either that or I have to go back to my sponsor, tell them I tried my best, and I'll get them next time.
Yeah.
I would rather lose again. Like, I'd rather lose again. I'd rather know that I sprayed this thing, I did all this, I went back, and hey, look at me. Well, when I rolled up to Houston, and that bus made it, which I did not expect that bus to make it. I already had in my head the Mikey's Acre of Earth episode was going to be called Hot Wheels or Bust, capital B-U-S-T, and then I was going to circle bust, and it was going to end with me on the side of the highway trying to get somebody to haul me to WyoTech. You know, like, I was just going to have somebody haul me to WyoTech and hope the students would help me fix it. That's what I thought. That was my plan. I was like, worst case, that's where we end up. Well, then we get there. We're at the parking lot. We're unloading. We're doing all these things. That is when, like, I got so emotional because I'd already, like, told myself it was okay to fail this one. Then we get there, and
how did that feel to tell yourself it's going to be okay to fail? Knowing at the same time you last fucking thing you want to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I thought that I'm after a good story no matter what.
Right.
And leaving in a bus you don't know will make it, and it break down, and you go, I tried, it's still a good story.
Yeah.
Like, still a cool story.
It's a happy ending to a bad story.
Which I'm used to telling, man. Like, to be honest with you, it's kind of my brand. So it's like, if this thing breaks down, this is the perfect way to debut my bus. Like, this is still a bus build. Like, it'll be cool to get down there to make it. And then, like, when I got there, Trent was like, what are you thinking, man? How do you feel? And it was kind of a, dude, I can't believe I'm here right now. I can't believe you're asking me this question. I told myself I was going to work hard enough for you to ask me that exact, the words that came out of your mouth. And I know I've never told you that. I know it. So I know I'm standing where I'm supposed to be. And I just started crying. It's like, dude, I pulled this off even if we can't make it home. I made it here in front of Hot Wheels again, showing them a car that is finished in Freak Flake, that I did get this, the ride height wasn't right in Indy either. I didn't get to stand back and really dialed in. No, everything's dialed in. And not just that, that's when it all dawned in. It's like, no, dude, I prayed and I asked to have the opportunity to show what I'm made of. I didn't get to do that in Indy. That was an hour away from home. You know, that wasn't nowhere.
Yeah.
That was Greenwood, Indiana. I've been to that Walmart. I go looking for Hot Wheels at that Walmart. It's on my path. Like, I drive up there to look for Hot Wheels. So it's like, I come here super treasure hunt looking. You know, I shouldn't think that this is the easy way out. It was easy way out. So I'm like, if I go back and I can I can patch this thing up as a Texas legend. That would be nuts. Like if I could do all this.
Yeah.
Dude, I got back there and like for the first time in my life, really, the people I was trying to impress actually knew who I was, why I was there, what in the hell I had just done with this bus to get there. They were like, "You're not entering the bus?" And I was like, "Dude, last year I competed against myself. I'm not doing that again this year." Like that bus was built to get me here, y'all. And I landed, and it was cool to have it there too, because all of the sheet metal that I sculpted that RV from was the leftover sheet metal I cut out of the roof of that bus.
That's fucking hilarious.
So it's like all of the electrical conduit that I sculpted it out of was left over from my papaw after he died, and then all of the sheet metal came out of this bus. So I stood there. You're talking about how many hours you put into something. So May 21st, I go get that sponsorship. I get back here, and I just pitched it. I had to wait till WyoTech didn't say yes until day 50. But it went so well at WyoTech, I knew they were going to say yes to something. And they'd pretty much told me, just chill, go ahead, get started, get going, and we'll figure something out some way, somehow. We'll figure this out. So I came back, and I had $14 when I started building that. And for the first 50 days, I had made that $14 turn into $4. I had spent just $10 on just kind of nonsense, just pocket stuff. I mean, my wife's got a job. She was covering groceries for us, while I was skating this. But it's like all the money I had saved up to just kind of keep us survived through the winter, that's all it was going to do. It couldn't build this thing. So I sculpted it all out of trash completely, built it into what it was ready to kind of refinish, and then I got WyoTech. But from May 24th, which was build day 1, to whatever day it was that I landed in Houston, it added up to less than 120 days total, right in a row, 120 days total. I had logged 1,600 hours of labor in this shop by myself.
That's awesome.
Now, brother, that ain't counting the driving to go get materials. That ain't nothing. That was only on paper when I was in this building working, was 1,600 hours. So to stand there and get judged in Houston and them go, "Is that your bus over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then, they started asking, "How many guys? Like, how many things?" And I'm like, there's the questions I'm after.
Yeah.
They don't ask me that before. Now that I'm here and I've got that sitting over there, that explains for me too. Because before I was having to get rental cars, rental trailers, go show up, and you look like every guy else in the parking lot. And then for the first time in my life in Houston, I didn't have to borrow a truck. I didn't have to borrow a trailer. I didn't have to borrow money. I didn't have to borrow nothing. Like, I had landed a sponsor. I had actually pulled off a build, because the whole pitch with WyoTech was like, all I really am shooting for right now is a development deal to see what I can turn this into. We're going to be making a bunch of movies. We're going to be doing everything. I'm just willing to sell myself at a premium rate to show you guys at first really like what I want. Like I want to show you what we can do together. And I seen the addition of a corporate level sponsor, which is what WyoTech is, no matter how you see it. It is a school, but they're such a high level school and looked up to that it's an internationally recognized brand. Like it's recognized.
It sucks that they had a bad name there for a hot minute. Right after we graduated, the whole.
It was bad. I was kind of in that too. Like I seen how that worked too, and they went to a nonprofit. You know, so like what happened was the school sold to a bigger entity called, what was it, Corinthian Colleges?
Yep, that was it.
So they went and did this, and they own a lot of colleges. So it's a big business to them. It wasn't.
They didn't care.
Not just didn't care. It really, it felt like they were just investing into write-offs. Like it just felt like, why are you shooting for something this big when we can accomplish the same thing by going to a county fair? Like, you can. Yeah. If you go to SEMA and your goal is to get a video series at SEMA, you're at SEMA with everyone else trying to get video series. If you build something, go to a mud bog, you're there with people that are willing to talk to you about what you just did. It's better content, you know? So it's like, I pitched it to him from the eyes more of an entertainer than an industry, and I thought that it would be something that could bring in not just new students, but it could like get some of them that get missed, like I wasn't going to go to this school. Like they had to reach out to me, way out here. They had to. And I know a lot of guys out here that aren't going to school that should. They definitely should. And they're definitely skilled to do it. They have everything you need to make a business out of themselves and turn themselves into a high-level craftsman. other than the confidence to leave for 9 months and go do it. You know, and I went to school with a lot of guys that went to the military and then went to school and almost like, I know one of them, my buddy Tyler, he told me, he was like, I was just doing it for the check. They were willing to give me a rent and living check. I could go get an education, and it was just a way for me to kind of get a free ride here. And once I got in there and realized how serious they took everything, I was ashamed not to take it serious too. And he went on to work for Duncan Aviation as an upholsterer and everything. Like a high-level job got placed.
I worked for a lot of guys. I went to school with, I think I can name on one fucking finger how many people I went to school with that were in my class that are still doing something related to fucking automotive.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people during those times of the school was having a bad taste in their mouth.
But that dude that I can name, he actually took it complete. I competed against him every day. Like, I don't know if I would have got such good grades if it wasn't for him talking shit.
Yep.
And I talked shit to him.
It's a friendly rivalry, man.
Yeah, it was.
There's nothing wrong with rivalry. Like, I get, I kind of get thrown in a box of, button heads, and I'm not. Like, I'm not even trying to compete with anybody. I just end up being at the same places. Like, if you're racing in a point series, and you're racing against the same guy twice a month, and he's got your number, that's the guy to go talk to. Like, that's the guy to be like, hey, I'm a lumberjack on this tree, so you better be good, man. I'm going to chop her down. It's just fun. It makes it fun. It makes you want to try harder and do better and develop into something that you're not. I think if you get stuck in a spot where you're like, I'm perfect just the way I am. Nah, man, like, I don't believe anybody is to their absolute potential ever.
No.
And the most fun thing is finding that new skill and that new little, like, I don't know, thing to add to the bat belt. Like, just...
I think that's my favorite part about building hot rods is, like, I get to fucking weld shit, build shit. I get to cut paper. I draw some stuff. I shape shit. And it's like, it's a never-ending sculpture.
And I think everybody
learning
should...
every day, all day. I just learned something yesterday.
Try to create something.
Yeah.
And even if it is just taping paper together and making stuff, like, I feel better when I do. I kind of get up in the morning, come out here, turn the heater on. I try to stay off my phone as long as I can. And I just try to get in more of an artistic zone of, like, what do I want to start my day with? Do I want to draw right now? Or do I want to work on someone else's stuff? But I never try to make a day full of the exact same thing. Like, even when you're building, like when I'm doing a thrash, like say the RV, I know everything needs done. So I'm not worried about what gets done next. I'm just worried about getting everything done. Yeah. So if I don't feel like working on this front end no more, I'll go work on the interior. Yeah. Like, I don't have 5 guys in here that I'm going to go aggravate and do these things because I'm bored. I'll just stop doing what makes me bored and go do something that I'm not bored of. And to be honest, just the walk away most times make me go, I want to go back and finish what I started. So I don't know, like, I believe that there is a process for everybody individually. I've had a lot of people try to take what I do, and I honestly think the way I do is unhealthy. They're just reactions I do to the way I grew up and kind of what I'm used to. I add an extra layer of stress to every situation on purpose that I don't know why. The other night, we were going to do a live feed for WyoTech. I didn't know how to do, like, I was trying my hardest. Trent showed us before we left, but we logged in here. I think I'm doing great. I'm killing it the whole time, and we weren't even feeding. It wasn't even live feed. It wasn't going out nowhere. I beat myself up over that so bad, and Ruthie at the end of the day said, you still made it in the top 10. Like, it doesn't matter how the feed goes. You won.
Yeah.
Like, everyone see, like, it doesn't matter how that goes. But I don't know. I put an unfair pressure on myself to where it's like, even when it is easy, I'm like, how can we complicate this just a little bit?
Well, it's funny, the funny thing is I do shit, and the beauty of it is right now I have clients. So they come in and it's like, man, I could have done this better, could have done that better. They come in and they're like, it looks fucking great.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper. Here's some more money. Let's fucking go. Like, I didn't realize that you can do it like this. So now that I know that you can do it like this, my idea of what this was is now no longer. And
it opens. And that's how, like, I'm drawing I'm drawing right now kind of a mascot for Mikey's Acre of Earth. I'm trying to draw something
brother.
that I can turn into like bendable action figures and everything, you know. And my buddy Spock, he's already got a stuffy. Like he's from Freak Flake and he's already made a stuffy. So it's like,
Just got a beard? Tell me whatever it is has a beard.
eventually I hope to get there. But it's like being able to take my design and to bounce it off someone that's been there and done that. Like he has a toy line. He's got his own mascot made. Like he did a good job. He's made packaging. He's done all this. So when I draw something and say, hey man, can you make adjustments to where this can be that? Or where am I messing up? What am I missing? What am I doing? So I do believe that even if you want to go and do things that you don't know how to do, like I want to be a toy designer. My dream, if I could do one job and not do anything else, I'd put the cameras away if I had to. I would do anything to be a toy designer. But I believe being seen is the fastest way to be the toy designer.
Yeah.
So this is the route I'm doing. I'm going this route. I'm showing myself to try to do this. And that is the same thing with Spock. Like for him to be a toy designer, he's a painter. Like he does this. So it's like two completely different perspectives that he's seeing things I don't see. I'm seeing things he don't see. And we have the exact same goal. So maybe there's things I'm missing that his perspective can clean up for me. So it's not like be alone all the time. It's just like, to me, if you can't conversate with someone that's either doing it or have done it, why would I waste my time doing anything other than what I believe an antenna is shooting directly into my head from a higher power somewhere telling me where to move my feet? If you haven't moved your feet down that path, I believe that I have a good a connection with that higher power than anybody on the planet, and I'll just stream of consciousness will create it. If I invest the time in it positively and know that at the end of this, I'm finishing it.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to stop me. It's going to get done. And at the end of it all, I may be in the hospital. I may be that race car that goes 100 laps and skids across the finish line.
Yeah.
But I will make it across that finish line. And what I've surprised myself with more than anything is how good a shape I'm in after this stuff's done. I seen this RV deal as in like, by the time this is done, I will have probably lost too much weight. I will probably have really jacked my thumbs up. My thumbs swell. My thumb joints swell really bad if I push it too hard. So I'm like, this is going to be the job that gets me. It's all going to catch up right now. And not only did it not catch up, at the end of it all, I was like, oh no, dude, you've been through this before. This is not a fight you're not used to. You're sad right now, but you were sad the last 5 times you've done this in this part. When you get to the middle, say you got 80 days, day 40 is almost the most depressing day.
Whew.
Because you're like, the most fun part is the development of it, which the development only happens the first half. The second half is the factory work. That's the taking all this stuff apart, finishing it off nice. This is the body work. This is the paint.
Yeah.
This is the wiring. This is all of that stuff that it's fun to look at, but there ain't nothing fun about doing it. Like to me, that is not fun at all. So the introduction of the video series in that portion, it has made me like reignite the love for it. And that's something that I probably would just glaze by if Trent wasn't there to go, no, dude, no one knows how to do that. Because in my head, I'm like, everybody knows how to do this. You know, I went to WyoTech. Everybody I sat in class with knows how to do this. And they're like, and you know, you got to remember, I'm used to knowing everyone that exists. I'm from a town of 38. I know everybody in this world to me, you know? And then you get out to Hot Wheels and you get all these people that just flood in.
Yeah.
We had a dude fly in from Mexico. Like he had to go through customs to come to Texas to see that RV. And we had people that followed us from Spain. We had people in there from Venezuela. Like it was nuts. Like, I mean, I was just, that's kind of the surreal part of this is that people are actually watching. People are catching on and they're seeing what we're doing here.
Well, there's 7 billion people, man. There's got to be like one person. That's like when the first person ever commented on a video I did, and it was like, holy shit, somebody fucking watched this. And not only did they watch it, they had to watch it to minute 7
It
minutes.
moved them enough, yeah.
They had to watch it to the 7th minute to talk about what the hell they're talking about. And I was like, And then now people are like, hey, I'm building the same car and I'm getting everything around, and the way you did this or that, it's like, that's fucking awesome. I got a guy
It's cool.
who ordered fucking t-shirts from North Carolina, and I mean that's halfway across the country, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, you gotta be shitting me.
That's cool, dude. Like, and I like that I'm speaking to a certain, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I'm speaking to a certain class of person. So it doesn't really matter where you're from or like what culturally you grew up around. My whole kind of mission is to show what you can do with what you don't have.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
really show off what you do. So these like poverty-stricken countries that some of them I didn't even know existed. Like, not no disrespect by it, but it's just in the middle of the jungle. You get a guy building cars out of
Yeah.
oil barrels and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, that's it. Like,
How about
that's
them
the kind of
crazy
people.
bastards that build fucking Lambos out of wood?
I know. I watch all this stuff,
Dude.
man. And to be honest with you, the stuff I'm drawn to more is the people that are barefoot, pounding out metal on floors, like doing it all like piecework. So it really getting involved in the social media of the automotive industry. It's helped me. It's helped me be okay with my best, and even representing for WyoTech, like there's plenty of WyoTech students that have came and gone, and I mean they're building for Riddlers and stuff. Like, I'm not even trying to do that. I live on a gravel road, and I want the next drag car I build to be able to do a launch on the gravel. And so it's like I'm not shooting for perfection, but I am shooting for a process that's like a perfect harmony of fun while it still does the task, and it's worth watching.
Yeah. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's we do shit that's really rare, like you were talking about earlier, but to us, it's like, fuck, it's Tuesday.
I get kind of shell shocked by it after it's done, though. Like, there's a part of it that,
Step back and look.
yeah,
Oh.
like the RV situation. Since I've got back from Houston, I've been, pretty much dealing with the wrath of my neglect. I've got the shop was destroyed. I've been doing nothing but focused on Hot Wheels. Even my yard was a mess, like everything. The house was falling apart. So since I got back from Houston, I've really just been going back and getting the shop in order and prepared for this semifinals and finals, like knowing I'm going to be streaming and recording in here.
Yeah.
And it's given me time to like hang pictures up of what I've done in the past and like really get to relive the whole timeline of sketch pads from even when I was in high school that I've started hanging up. And I'm starting to realize that I've been on a path to do this my entire life. And it's taken me a long time to understand that all the noise in between, in my 20s and 30s, like, was almost noise that I was making to hush up my inner self. Like, I had somebody in me all the time going, why are we doing it this complicated? Like, why not just do this? Why not just have fun? Like, why do we need to be a fast car? Why are you worried about this? Why do you do this? So I always just like tried to have fun and not worry about making it professional. And then after COVID and like the start of Paper to Pavement, actually having that time to develop in this, it's like, no, let's have fun and make that like, let's just focus on, just do what you want to do. Like, whatever you're into. If you're into Mustangs, build a Mustang, brother. Like, that's what I want you to do.
Do it.
So I think that if anybody takes anything from what I'm doing here, please don't sit down and write out how I'm doing any of this stuff or like the process itself. Go into what you like what makes you enjoy going to sleep at the end of the day. I like a day that I've broken into 3 or 4 parts. I like my family being involved in it. I like to have peace attached to quiet so I can prepare for war, which I do in prayer form. And I like to know that when I am working towards something, it's towards an ultimate goal. I'm not just coming in here and sketching to doodle. I'm drawing a mascot for my show to make into a toy. Like, I'll do better if I play knowing that I'm playing to make our life better. So I hope if anyone out there is taking anything from what I'm saying or doing or how I'm living my life at all, it's not to do what I'm doing. It's to do how I'm doing. I'm just doing my best. I'm taking the best parts of what I like to use and leaving the other stuff for later. You don't need to use every single part you have on the car. You don't need to do that either. You can set it aside and let that part develop its own car. And that's been something that I've had to teach myself through the years. It's like being more and overcomplicating doesn't make anything better. It just makes you dread it more. So why not just work as hard as you can to enjoy your life? And the way I enjoy my life is wife, kids, being my own man, and making monsters.
Hell yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself, excluding the kids part. Just trade it in for cats, man.
That's it, dude. The cats are your kids, though, man. It's whatever you put your heart and soul into. You know, I mean, I see some people that their kid is their car.
Yeah.
And I avoid those people doing business. Like, I've always avoided doing business with those people because I actually have kids. So I try to deal with people and only be around people. You know, I'm an empathy over sympathy guy. Like, I don't feel sorry for no situation, but I can see myself in your shoes. And if you're working for a guy that don't have kids and his cars are his kids, he is just as personal about those cars as I am my kids, you know? So there's just lifestyles that don't mesh well to make a positive time. But I know for a fact that there's a place in the automotive industry for every walk of life. And I hope that my perspective is one that starts to be appreciated more, because I do know a lot of guys that aren't even trying because they know there's going to be 50 people online talking shit. And just know that those 50 people talking shit also drag in 50 people that don't.
Yeah.
And those people that don't can be friends for you for the rest of your life because you just showed them exactly who you are.
Well, a lot of times you drag in the 50 people that talk shit, and then 50 people come in that talk shit to the people talking shit, because the people talking Look, at the end of the fucking day, I had to drive 3 hours to get here because that's how far away the closest son of a bitch is that has the same mindset.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, we're just not down the fucking street.
And and a thing with people like what we do is we are kind of like, especially me, like I don't seem like an introvert, but I do my best work when I'm all alone. So that is a picture perfect definition of that.
Oh, I guess I am too.
So it's like, you know, I mean, I'm social. I love talking to people. I love hanging and stuff, but there is nothing more satisfying than feeling good about yourself when no one else is in the room.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that anybody's working out there to gain, and if there's anything I can truly thank WyoTech for setting me up with countless times, you know, now, like from a high school student to now a father with 2 kids, a house, like literally living the dream I asked them to help me earn. And now they want to invest in me to keep it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just hope that whoever is listening to this, if they're taking anything from it, it is worry about building a strong enough foundation you can build anything from. And to build a strong foundation, it just has to be on an open heart and good intention. That's it. Be honest with yourself. Tell yourself what you want in this world, and do whatever it takes in between getting it and sitting here to get it.
Well, I guess on that note, I guess I could, let's see, we got WyoTech in there. I don't know if you have any other sponsors.
Well, I mean, I want to
give a shout out.
I want to give a shout out. I want to thank Keystone Tape. They sent me all the tape for this. Ace of Shades Paint. They sent me all the base coat. And then, as always, I have not been able to make it into a Hot Wheels finale without Freak Flake rolling with me. So
yeah.
I've got Freak Flake, and I just already know that's an adjustment. I know that from the start, my next car has to have Freak Flake if I plan on going anywhere with it. I got to thank WyoTech. They're really seeing something big in me, bigger than maybe I even see in myself. And I'm really excited to develop with them, the staff, the students, and the alumni. I hope that on my next project, I don't have to be alone. I really hope that somehow, some way, I can build a army of WyoTech alumni or something to really go in and show what a developmental process from a high-level school like that could bring to a stage as big as the one that I've found myself on at Hot Wheels. But we'll see. I'm playing it all by ear. I'm hoping for the best, and I know that I've already made it through the semifinals this year, and on Saturday we have the finale. If I win that, you all will be able to go anywhere in this world and get your own 1/64 scale redemption vehicle.
I'll be sitting there at Walmart waiting for them to open the box.
Me too. Buddy.
Fucking awesome.
Well, I'm seeing like over in Europe and stuff, these guys are posting on the collector pages.
Yeah.
They're posting the 2025 cars already. And I'm like, you're telling me I'm going to have to fly to Europe to get one of the first one of these things?
Overnight it.
It's cool though, man. I'm excited to see what happens. More than any like true judgment this year, I wanted Judged by Jay Leno again. I thought if I worked hard enough to get in front of him that I could make a life-changing experience happen from some opportunity that would come from just making it there again. This isn't an easy stage to get on. You know, this is like a 10,000 entrant show that one person takes it all at the end. And in every city, they don't give a top 10. That you win that city or you go home a loser. Like, that's it. So you're investing in this opportunity on yourself and your style. They ask for creativity, authenticity, and garage spirit. And I knew when they said those three that I was going to be a hard guy to beat. And I've proven that.
That's your fucking resume right there, man.
It is. And that was a beautiful thing. Like, when they talk about what they wanted, and I heard it the first time, like that first year, I was like, y'all, this is me. Yeah. Like, they're saying me. They didn't say a team. They didn't say a tool. They didn't say a car. They didn't say a make, a model. They said none of that. They literally said garage spirit. There ain't a more intense spirit in nobody's garage other than mine right here on this acre. And I hope Saturday that's understood. And I believe that even if it's not appreciated, it'll be understood. We'll see. Time will tell, brother.
Fingers crossed, buddy. I'm fucking rooting for it.
Elliot, thank you so much for coming out here. I don't have many visitors out here on the acre, and I keep it that way on purpose. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, dude.
Dude, I'm grateful for you giving me the opportunity, man. You know, I knew that getting to know you, I mean, it's parallel universes, man. The way that you look at the world and the way you think about shit, it's refreshing because, you know, somehow my wife doesn't think I'm completely crazy. And it's nice to know there's a couple other ones out there that kind of have the same kind of perspective on reality.
I think there's millions of us out here, you know, but they're smarter than I am. They keep quiet, you know. The smarter someone is, it seems like the more they keep their mouth shut in a bad situation. But out here in this little place that made me, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm out here trying to build up some bread for us eventually to work off of.
Yeah, I mean, the whole goal with all of this is to go to bed and make money while you're sleeping.
Hey, if that ever happens, I don't know if I will be able to understand that feeling. You know, I'm used to having to work 2 hours to earn 1 hour's wage, you know, so I do think I'm developing something now to where I don't want to be a serviceman anymore. I want to be an entertainer, and I want to sell products, and I want to sell products that I have a hand in developing or at least advertising the development of. And all these companies that I'm dealing with now isn't because they're all that was offered to me. I've chose to deal with these guys. Keystone Tape and Ace of Shades and Freak Flake. Like, I've been offered a lot more than what I have. I don't want to think I haven't been, but I truly just really appreciate the values that these independent artist-owned companies are doing, and like the products that are being made in the United States and designed from people that I actually know that'll shake my hand and give me the time of the day when I reach out. Like, that to me is what's the most important. So even if you're looking for associates in business, find people that align with you and your values. I knew that if someone wasn't interested in the advancement of the trades industry and wasn't like really behind a strong family value, like at the end of the day, building something to last, if they're not into that, if they're just trying to get a cash grab, I'm not only going to not be able to help them, I'm going to make them look bad. Because if I even feel nasty about some of that stuff, I can't help but bring it up.
Yeah.
So it's just been a pleasure to deal with the companies I have, and I'm excited to meet more companies. And I do believe the world's changing now to where the best idea in the room is getting the floor for a first time in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think politics are running industry as much as they used to, and the politicians that are invested seem to be invested in advancement. So I do believe that the future ahead of us is even brighter than the dark days behind us, but our job is to be out here lighting it up, man.
Fuck yeah, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate
yeah,
it, man.
dude.
As always, where can people find you?
Yeah, so Paper to Pavement on YouTube is the hot spot, and then I'm on Instagram as Mikey Brown 1957, and I'm Facebook and Instagram. I try to post daily, at least weekly, and then all the shows on YouTube is the Mikey's Acreverse stuff me and my wife do, and Trent adds music to, and then the movies and documentaries me and Trent make in depth. They go through his editing process, And as far as I'm concerned, they're movie quality.
Oh,
they're movie quality documentaries.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But yeah, all that. I don't do TikTok, and I don't do Twitter, and I don't do Snapchat or none of that. I stick to things that are easy processable. I like Facebook, I like Instagram, and I like YouTube.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. As always, shout out to I.B.F.HotRods for sponsoring this, like always, which is me and the wife.
Thank you, I.B.F.HotRods.
Hell yeah, brother. But yeah, you can also, if you want to check him out, papertopavement.com.
Papertopavement.com. I have even a store on there, and that inventory is getting shifted around a little bit. We've got new merchandise on the way that I am in the process of developing, so I'm excited to see how that does too.
Nice. I'm excited to see what the next couple of days holds for Mikey. I'm shooting for the stars for him. I'm pulling for him, and I know if when Saturday comes, you hit that you hit the fucking home run. I won't call you right away. I'll give it a couple of days because I'm sure you'll get bombarded. But yeah, I'm excited for you, and I feel like this episode was a good one. You had a lot to talk about, and I think that that's what I wanted to bring to the forefront of this podcast with everything that I'm doing with it, and truly inspirational for anybody listening, and I'm just truly grateful you gave me the opportunity.
Hey, it's been a pleasure to have you, buddy. I can't wait till we do this next time.
All right, buddy. Well, until then, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll talk to you soon.
You've been listening to It's All About the Build podcast. Big thanks to I.B.F.HotRods for making it happen. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, leave a comment, and rate the show. And follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram for the money, for the glory, and for the fun. And as always, pinkies out. Thank you all for listening.